coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques, Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Hall of Fame quarterback Brett Favre revealed he was recently diagnosed with Parkinson's disease while testifying today at a congressional committee hearing on welfare reform. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, when asked for what he thought about fans blaming him for the team's 1-2 start, told 105.3 The Fan that's fair because no decision's made without him acquiescing or approving it. Jones is certainly right about the blame, according to ESPN NFL analyst Dominique Foxworth.
We talk about the decisions that this organization has been making in the offseason. They haven't been aggressive in free agency. I think the one saving grace is that they've drafted well, but we haven't had very many teams in recent years be able to make a Super Bowl run without making some key additions in free agency, and they aren't doing that.
Raiders staying with quarterback Gardner Minshew as their starters Sunday versus the Browns. The Steelers again preparing to start quarterback Justin Fields a fourth straight game against the Colts on Sunday. Russell Wilson, with that calf injury, will be limited at practice tomorrow. Steelers edge rusher Alex Highsmith likely will miss multiple weeks with a groin injury, reports ESPN's Jeremy Fowler.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Wednesday, Sam Darnold and Justin Fields are off to fast starts. I'll tell you what you should expect from them for the rest of the season. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Oh!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
And Mr. Toby Tom Play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Shea Dixon in 15 minutes. John Stinchcomb next hour. Sean Salisbury, hour 3. Ton to do. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Well, Saints got some massively disappointing news on Tuesday. ESPN, NFL Network, others reporting center Erik McCoy will need groin surgery for the injury that he suffered in Sunday's game against the Philadelphia Eagles, and he will miss 6 to 8 weeks as a result of this injury. That is absolutely gutting, devastating, crushing, awful news in every possible way that can be awful. I want to remind you, yes, we watched the New Orleans Saints for the first 2 weeks of this season look like the manifestation of every bit of good we hoped they might be with Clint Kubiak's offense. The wide zone, the athletic linemen out in space, Kamara having space to run, finding holes, slashing, gashing, The Saints were one of the best running teams in the NFL through the first 2 weeks. McCoy and Lucas Patrick were the top 2 graded offensive linemen by Pro Football Focus. Derek Carr was a picture of efficiency, was everything we everything we hoped this offense would be with Clint Kubiak coming in. And when you took Erik McCoy out of the fold on Sunday, it set off a chain reaction that netted 12 points. I want to remind you that as great as this offensive line was for the first 2 weeks of the season, the questions about the offensive line were not a fan narrative. That wasn't you all making this up. It wasn't a media narrative. Back on May 21st, Dennis Allen said, point blank, they got 2 linemen. That's it.
I'd say we have 2 positions on our offensive line that we feel like we've got guys that are healthy and they're kind of entrenched in those positions. I think Cesar Ruiz, we feel good about where he's at, and yet he still has to improve. I think Erik McCoy probably had his best season last year. Those are 2 positions that I feel like we feel pretty confident of exactly where we're at in those positions. The other 3 positions, we're not sure yet.
Okay, that was the head coach on May 21st telling you we got 2 guys. Everything else up for grabs. Now we know Taliesin Fuanga has come along pretty well. Penning's moved to right. Patrick was at left guard. We know that, right? Fast forward. That was May 21st. August 21st. This was after the Yeoman practice. So they go spend a month in California. They play 3 preseason games. They come home. They practice at Yeoman. So this is after camp. This is after your 3 preseason games. This was August 21st, 2 weeks before the season started. Here was Dennis Allen again.
I'm going to be really honest with you. I think we got 2 guys right now that I'd say, without a doubt, we know exactly what we're getting, and that's Cesar and Erik.
Okay. Not a media or fan fabrication. The head coach told us all this, and we all know it. The offensive line was a giant question mark for this team. And then you saw what happened on Sunday. McCoy gets hurt. You move Lucas Patrick over to center. You move Oli Udoh in at left guard. And God bless him, I think Lucas Patrick's a really good player. We've talked about that plenty. But when you didn't prepare all week to play center, and now all of a sudden you got Jalen Carter staring you in the dome, right in your grill, that's a hideous draw for Lucas Patrick. Yes, I think he can be a good player. Erik McCoy is a Pro Bowler. Erik McCoy is your best offensive lineman. Erik McCoy, through 2 weeks, was the highest graded offensive lineman in the entire NFL. To go from Erik McCoy to Lucas Patrick moving over to center cold and asking him to block Jalen Carter, that is a seismic drop. So, yeah, naturally it was going to go the way it did. Now, my big question is whether or not, with a week now to prepare, knowing full and well that McCoy's out, and so Lucas Patrick is going to take all the reps at center, how quickly can you get him up to speed? And if it is going to be Oli Udoh slotting in at left guard, if it's going to be Nick Saldiveri, I don't know. But how quickly can you ramp that up to be ready to go for Sunday against Atlanta? Derek Carr after the game, Dennis Allen after the game talked about losing your starting center and how important and how impactful that is when you lose your starting center. And it's very obvious. I mean, the center is not only part of the battery, who's touching the football on every play, but he's also the guy that is responsible for the calls right in the middle of the offensive line, directing traffic, your cadence. I mean, all of that stuff is so critical with your starting center. It's why when you lose that guy, it's the most important piece on your offensive line. We talk so much about left tackle and the quarterback's blind side, but the center is right in the straw that stirs the drink, right in the middle of all that. And I'll tell you this as well. It becomes so imperative now for the Saints to go win at Atlanta. Because if you lose this game Sunday at Atlanta, and I'm thinking big picture now, okay? If you lose Sunday to Atlanta, then you're on the road at KC. I don't think any of us think, even if McCoy was healthy, I wouldn't have the Saints winning in Kansas City, even if McCoy was healthy. But if you lose to Atlanta and then you lose to KC, that's 3 straight losses. Now you've gone from 2-0 to losing 3 in a row and going to 2-3. Now you come home for Tampa and Denver, and that Tampa game, y'all know I never say a must-win until it's a literal must-win. But that Tampa game would become so massive because you'd then, if you lost that, be looking at having lost 4 straight potentially, being at 2-4, 2 games under 500, and losses to Atlanta and Tampa in the division. Now all of a sudden, not only are you 2 games under 500, but you also now have head-to-head losses to Tampa and Atlanta. I mean, if you don't go win this Sunday, you are looking at potentially burying yourself in a hole that might be too much to climb out of this early in the season. If you want a positive note for all the conversation that we're having about McCoy and the Saints starting center, I don't know if you noticed, but the Falcons played on Sunday Night Football against Kansas City Chiefs, and their starting center, Drew Dahlman, injured his ankle in that game, and the Falcons put him on IR. So the Falcons now, the thing we just talked about, right? Teams that lose their starting center fail to cover 80% of the time the week they lose their starting center. Like, now that's flipped onto Atlanta. And they have to go into a week where they're losing their starting center. So 2 teams with unenviable tasks ahead of them. I mean, Atlanta is a team, they're favored by 1.5 against New Orleans. Atlanta is, they are a blink away from being 3-0. No, forgive me, from being 2-1. They lost their home field to Pittsburgh, but they were right there at the end of the game against Kansas City with a couple of shots in the end zone to win it. I mean, they're a blink away from beating Kansas City on the road and being 2-1. They're also a blink away, if Saquon catches the ball in the flat, from being 0-3. Such is life in the NFL. But it's hard to understate, especially with what you have ahead, how massive this game is for New Orleans on Sunday going to Atlanta. They got to find a way, come hell or high water, to scratch out a win in Atlanta on Sunday, and they'll have to do it without Erik McCoy. All right, it's After Further Review. Show Open every day, brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of the LSU Tigers, the official beer of your New Orleans Saints, of course, the official beer of us here on AFR. Speaking of the Saints, I mentioned Monday Night Football with the Chiefs. We will be at the Sportsbook at L'Auberge a week from Monday for that Saints-Chiefs Monday Night Football game with our friends at Mockler and Bud Light, and, of course, our friends over at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook at L'Auberge. Same deal as when we had the Poirier fight a few months back. We'll be giving away 8 VIP experiences, 8 winners and their guest to come watch the Saints and the Chiefs. Free food, all the Bud Light you can drink, VIP seating there. We'll have plenty of giveaways throughout the night. Anybody can come hang out with us, regardless if you're one of the winners or not. But we'll start giving away those VIP winner spots starting next week. But just make plans. A week from Monday, 2 weeks from yesterday, be there with us at the Sportsbook at L'Auberge in Baton Rouge at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook. So that way we can watch Saints and Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Who knows? Maybe the Saints surprise us. All right, let me knock out a quick break, y'all. We'll come back, and Shea Dixon will be with us on 3, the Bengal Tiger. We always talk some recruiting with Shea on Tuesdays. We'll do that next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Hey, this coming Sunday after the Saints play, I'm going to have an opportunity to go shoot some video content with Kyron Lacey, LSU receiver, did an NIL deal with Duplessis. Really looking forward to it. We're going to go to one of the homes where Derek and his team did the pool, outdoor kitchen, the whole outdoor space. We get to see some of that. But if you want to see some of the pictures of the beautiful work they've done, videos as well, you can check out duplessisbuilders.net. You want to design and build your backyard paradise? duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net. You can go follow them on all the social media as well. Hey, I've told you, when you're looking at building a pool, now is the time. If you want to be swimming for next spring, now is the time to reach out to Duplessis. Because when you go through the design, the permitting process, that could take 6-8 weeks. And then once you break ground, you're talking about 2 months on a complete build-out, because Derek is not going to cut corners. They're going to do it right and build you something that will last. So start today. duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, roll along as we do every Tuesday here, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. We always take time on Tuesday to visit with Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger, a little recruit and talk. Shady, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing well. Did all the recruits survive the heat on Saturday?
They did. Everybody
glad to hear it.
Remained committed, but also they keep them on the west sideline.
Yes,
and you go hang out, in the locker room if you get too hot.
Yeah,
so
brilliant.
They're taken care of.
They think of everything. Any reports from how it went? Look, let's run through, by the way, for those that might have missed it, the visitor. We talked about DJ Pickett last week, but the visitor list, who was there and how it went with the UCLA game.
Yeah, well, look, we can even start before DJ Pickett with a kind of a surprise visitor of sorts. Jakeem Stewart, the number one player in the country for next year's class, stopped into campus and hung out with the coaches and took in the sidelines before the game and watched the game. And he was out at the the USC LSU game to start the year. So now he's seen 2 of the 4 games so far. And we've talked about it on this show before. Jakeem Stewart is the number 1 D lineman, a 5-star, but he withdrew from St. Aug to go to Edna Carr, where right now he's currently ineligible. So he's not playing for Edna Carr as a junior, but the goal was to be on a path to where he could get the coursework done, needed, completed, and ready to reclassify, which would mean coming from the 2026 class into this current 2025 cycle, which LSU has a top 3 ranked class. So this is a player who, for many reasons, has kind of been pushed to the forefront of the conversation because now he could be a guy who ultimately is on a college team by this time next year.
Do we have any sense, Shea, of when we might get some kind of answer there?
It wouldn't be surprised me. It would not surprise me if in the next few weeks, month, if they came out and Stewart's camp said, hey, look, here's the plan. I think that it's probably smart to move forward right now and, make sure you have all of your ducks in a row, because leaving St. Aug 2 games before their season started and after school had already started to get to Endicott and then not be ruled ineligible was certainly not the route that you hope to see Jakeem go. He had already set out his freshman year because of transferring to St. Aug and being ruled ineligible. So right now he's only played a sophomore year of football. I think the next move, right, has to be the best move, and that's, hey, if I've done all this, then I need to reclassify. So my guess is they are making sure that all of the courses he needs to take are lined up for both the fall and most likely the spring, I would guess. And then that way he can, whatever school he chooses, be in line to enroll there and sign up the school this year and enroll there by this time. Like I said, be on a team by this time next year. So I'm not shocked, Matt, that nothing's immediately come out of, yep, he's reclassifying 100%, because I think they're still trying to juggle all of that. But I would definitely lean towards him reclassifying, or it wouldn't have made much sense to leave Aug and miss another football season.
Stewart, DJ Pickett, I know you told us last week Jacob and Blaine Bradford from Catholic were expected to be on campus. Anybody else make that the trip this past weekend?
Yeah, one of U-High's players, Lamar Brown, their
Nice.
two-way standout. I'm sorry, Matt, I'm just doing that to you, but he is a notable prospect.
That's great. No, 5-star lineman. Let's get it.
Yeah,
Tell
there
him I'll
you
send
go.
him a postcard from the Dome.
That's just going to be the stock answer here, but yes, U-High got the win this past weekend. Lamar Brown showed up the next day. He's phenomenal, though. He's a top 5 player on 3. Another top 10 player is, you mentioned Blaine Bradford. His brother Jacob is committed to Houston as a senior coming out of Catholic, but LSU's offered him and continue to press to get him on board even before Blaine, who is a top 10 player in the country next year, number 1 safety, makes his decision. But I think you've got to go back to kind of where the current discussion of this team is, right, Matt? And we came into the season saying DB and D-line were going to be weaknesses, at least, presumed. And the new staff had to sort of take it head on and do the best they could with it. And losing Jacoby and Guillory, they've still found production at the D-line position. And obviously you've got to recruit it year over year. They have a handful of guys committed. But DB is one, in corner, where we knew no matter what, they just had who they had, and it was bringing along Ashton Stamps and testing out P.J. Woodland as a true freshman and playing some J.K. Johnson and getting now Zaire Alexander back healthy. I know he got banged up again this past weekend, but back from that ACL injury, and it was just going to be what it was. But Corey Raymond being hired in January is paying dividends. Number 1 corner in America was on campus this past weekend in DJ Pickett. He's impossible to miss. If you were looking at kids on the sidelines, he's all of 6'4" and long and looks exactly like a Corey Raymond type corner. And Cade Phillips was right there with him, who I saw had a long chat with Brian Kelly on the field. And he's a kid who committed to Texas in July, I believe it was, and less than a month later flipped to LSU and committed to Texas over LSU. I've caught up with him since then, and he said, look, I wanted to be at LSU. I'm from Texas. I do like Texas, but I want to play there. I want to play for Corey Raymond. And you've got 2 out-of-state guys coming in who are both at that game, who I firmly feel will be finished when the rankings are done, both as top 5 corners. And that's the kind of production on the recruiting trail that you bring Corey Raymond back for, right? And obviously development is the other part, but getting talented guys like that into the fold was a must, and really no way around it. So to have those 2 guys committed and Aiden Anding up in Ruston, who could finish as the state's highest-ranked corner, it's a pretty nice haul here early on, but great to have Pickett on campus as well as Phillips.
Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger, is with us. We always talk, Shea, and I know you've referenced it about flips and how big that was a season ago. Are there other prospects right now that maybe we're keeping an eye on as we move toward that early signing period that LSU continues to work on at trying to flip them into this class?
There are. I mean, there are a number. And look, they won't get to the spot they were a year ago when nearly 40% of their signees were flips from one school into LSU's class, which is just a massive number. And obviously you don't want to have to bank on that. But Jacob Bradford, I already mentioned, being committed to Houston, that Willie Fritz and that staff that he brought from Tulane have obviously know the lay of the land in Louisiana, and they've scooped up a lot of the best players that now a team like LSU says, hey, we've offered. We're making a move, and I think that's one that they can ultimately pull off if they continue to press. Another I would say is Brad Davis. Look, a year ago, he signed 6 linemen. Half of them were flips, 2 from Texas A&M and 1 from Ole Miss. Right now, they do have the highest-ranked offensive lineman in Mississippi committed, Tyler Miller, coming out of Laurel. The number 2 offensive lineman in Mississippi is Mario Nash. He's committed to Mississippi State, but he took an OV to LSU in June. He was back at the game this past weekend. He said, look, Brad Davis keeps calling me. And if he's going to show interest, I will continue to explore my options. And for those who don't pay attention to SEC football right now, we're not in the days of, remember when Ole Miss and State were ranked number 1 and 2? That was a wild time.
That was 2014, yeah.
Ole Miss is good right now. State is not.
Yeah.
So I think State's trying to hold on a bit for dear life with Levy and company to the guy they have, and he's one of their highest-rated commits. So it's tough to pull kids out of Mississippi, but I will circle him as one that I would say, hey, look, Brad Davis does it year over year. If he's getting him back to campus now and he's already gotten an OV with Nash and his family, then keep an eye on it. And there's many others, but those are 2 who were on campus this past weekend, which tells me, hey, look, they're still looking around.
Shea, what about this coming weekend with another home game, this time a night game? I know you always explain the significance of a night game for recruiting, just for players to be able to physically be able to get here. What can we anticipate with South Alabama coming in?
Yeah, I mean, they've done a really good job getting the current commits in, and that's, look, when you have 26 commits and you want to sign between 25 and 30, getting those guys onto campus is paramount. So a lot of those guys will be back. In terms of out-of-state guys, I think you start to look at the younger crop. And look, there's just not a lot of guys left in this class that you're going after. But a name that just popped out, Booby Feaster out of Texas, who's been kind of a frequent visitor around LSU. He's in the 2027 class, but he's already ranked as maybe the best receiver, if not one of the top 2 or 3. I haven't glanced at that class here recently, but early on he's got an offer from everybody. And will be that big name coming out of Texas, one of a handful, like always, at receiver, that they'll continue to recruit. I'll also say that the more you get these younger guys like Elijah Haven out of Dunham and others who are from Baton Rouge and even in New Orleans, Jabari Mack at Destrehan, there's a long list of them who just keep popping up at games. And the more you have them around, I think the kind of quietly, the bigger and bigger LSU's grip gets on what you would call a lead at this stage, as kind of they explore all their options. So just because of that, yes, it is South Alabama. It's not a huge game, but being at night, they'll get guys in. But I do know this. When they ask guys to come in and they're saying, cool, which weekend would you have me? I think I can make it either this weekend for South Alabama or in a couple weekends for Ole Miss. The answer is come in for Ole Miss. So that is going to be, I mean, they have Bama at home, but that should be probably the biggest visitor weekend of the year, I would think.
Hey, let me ask one follow-up on Elijah Haven. And for those that don't know, he's the quarterback from Dunham who, on 3, recently rated as the number 1 prospect for the number 1 quarterback for the class of 2027, right? I think I've got that right. Any idea just of his recruitment? Like, is he a guy that looks like, it's early, Shea, but I mean, is he going to make a lot of visits? Is it going to be something that lasts a long time? Do we know how he feels about LSU and anything like that early in this process?
I think he's going to be a national recruit. He's going to start grabbing offers from the who's who from coast to coast. So when the time comes, I mean, remember, he's just now a few games into his sophomore year. As over the next year, I'd say, is when quarterbacks really start to take visits and meet with different coaches and get a feel in person for how these quarterback coaches and OCs and head coaches are. Then you get a better feel for, okay, where might he land? Because right now, the main exposure is to LSU. And not just because, in large part because he's a Baton Rouge kid, but Joe Sloan and them were at football games. They were at his basketball game back in January. So they have treated him like a very high priority. They're not going out and watching a lot of freshmen and, guys who at that point, he was a freshman, now he's a sophomore, but back in January, they weren't going to watch a bunch of freshmen play basketball when they're recruiting them for football. It's just to show, hey, we're here, the interest is there, and when the time comes, look, they haven't offered anybody in 2027 yet at quarterback, and Benton's got a good quarterback in Malachi Ziegler. Nussmeier's little brother is the top 10 quarterback in the country. So there are a number of guys I think that they would look at, but you're obviously going to start with a guy like Haven, given he's right here in Baton Rouge.
Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Make sure you get him on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Always appreciate it, man. Thanks for the visit.
2 times in one day, Matt. Good to see you again.
We'll see you, man. Shea, Michael Cobble, and I handle Sports Takeover on WBRZ+. So you can check that out. 6:30 every Tuesday. We record it Tuesday morning, and then it airs Tuesday at 6:30. So you can check that out if you want to get me, Shea, and Cobble talking about the game. You just can't get enough of us. Shea and I go film that every Tuesday. That's what he's talking about. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. Our Tuesday shows are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. And also, Supper Club back open today. They're closed Sunday, Monday, so they're open Tuesday to Saturday. And earlier today, got the updated list. The prime wine by the ounce is a 2014 Chateau Mouton Rothschild, 99 points. The menu price is $37.50. That's $3,750 for a bottle of 2014 Chateau Mouton Rothschild. The by the ounce price will be $60. So if you would like to have an opportunity, if you're not familiar with what they're doing, a few weeks ago they did this with immense success after the hurricane, after Francine came through. They had their version of a hurricane party. When they reopened on Wednesday, they busted open a prime wine, sold it by the ounce, and they went through 2.5 bottles of it. So it's something that they're committed to doing moving forward here on Thursdays. So if you want to try some exquisite wines that you otherwise may never have the opportunity to try, this is a chance to do it affordably by the ounce at Supper Club. Remember, you never need a reservation to go hop in at the bar, open seating at the bar. So get there when they open up and try some amazing wines. Get over there after work, bring people from the office, maybe clients, treat them to dinner. You can have dinner there at the bar. If you can't get a table, you can always reserve your table online at supperclubbtr.com. supperclubbtr.com. Prime wine, 2014 Chateau Mouton Rothschild. Incredible. $60 an ounce this Thursday over at Supper Club. All right, let me knock out a quick break. In 45 minutes, John Stinchcomb is going to be here. I want to talk to him about the Saints losing Erik McCoy 6 to 8 weeks. When we come back, though, our buddy Ross Jackson from LouisianaSports.net and the Locked on Saints podcast is going to join us. Ross has his list of 3 potential targets the Saints could go after in the interim to sort of boost that center position with Erik McCoy out. We'll get to that next at AFR.
AFR.
Going to keep reminding you here for just a few more weeks about our friends over at Action Industries. It's turnaround season. They got those 2 turnarounds coming, and they're looking for 100 to 125 people. Recruitment is going hot and heavy right now because they got to staff up for these turnarounds that are coming. If you're interested, been telling you about it for a few weeks now, but they're still taking applications if you're interested. They need people. Boiler makers, welders, pipe fitters, crane operators. You can apply online or in person at their Highway 30 office in Geismar. This is a 4 to 5 week turn. There's 2 different 4 to 5 week turnarounds. So about a month, working 12 7s. Working 7 12s. There's not 12 days a week. Working 7 12s for these 2 turnarounds. A lot of hours, but go make that money right now. Hunting season's upon us. It's football season. The holidays will be here before you know it. Go get that grind for a month. Make that money. Action Industries is looking for you. So apply online at actionindinc.com. Action Industries, proud partner of LSU Athletics.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
We're Rev Business, a local provider with nearly 90 years of experience. So when it comes to business in Louisiana, we know that personalized service is key. And we're here to go the extra mile with all fiber solutions that deliver what every business needs: reliability and quality. We're not just providers. We're the local team dedicated to helping you succeed. True partnerships are homegrown. Rev Business, internet, phone, managed services. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales service and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
It's a big blow. I think he's an important part to our offensive line and the way that we play up front, and so that was difficult to lose him. And yet, it's part of the game, and we've got to be able to step up and be able to, still play an acceptable level when we lose guys like that.
That did not happen on Sunday. Dennis Allen, after the Saints lost Erik McCoy due to a groin injury, we learned today that McCoy is going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks, needing surgery on that groin. Our buddy Ross Jackson, Locked on Saints podcast, of course, our lead Saints writer over at LouisianaSports.net, has a piece up. He looked at 3 potential additions to the roster for the New Orleans Saints. He invited Ross to come on here to knock that around a little bit. How are you, dude?
Hey, buddy, doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, let me get. We appreciate the time, man. Let me get your reaction to the news. What this means, McCoy being out, 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, I mean it's a big one, big loss for New Orleans. I mean, for any team to lose their starting center who helps to make calls at the line and all these other things, it's not just the guy that snaps the ball and blocks a little bit, right? Like this guy's got a lot of responsibility, and he's been doing it at a high level for New Orleans since he was drafted back in 2019 as a plug and play guy. So it's a big impact for New Orleans, and especially to be missing him for 6 to 8 weeks. That's a long time for the Saints to have to cover here. This is a team that traditionally doesn't carry a specific backup center, so that also means that you're probably upsetting one of your 2 guard spots as well, moving one of those guys over to center. So not only are you going to be looking at a new starter at center, but that's probably going to lead to a new starter at one of those guard positions as well. So it's got a little bit of a ripple effect.
Do you think with how different do you think the line looks this week? Instead of having to make an in-game change like they did, now with a week to prepare for this, do you think, or how do you think it might look any different?
Yeah, I think it's probably going to look pretty similar to what New Orleans did last week in game, to where they'll move, potentially Lucas Patrick over to center and then plug in Oleudo over at left guard. They could turn to Landon Young at left guard, potentially. In that case, they didn't do that in game last week because he was managing an injury over the course of the practice week, so that might have had a little bit of an impact there. But I'll tell you, the other thing that we're looking for here too is Cesar Ruiz also left for a play with an injury before going back in. How much does that linger? What does that mean for his week 4 availability as well? So there could be some inherent additional changes. But based upon what happened at center here, I would expect it to look pretty similar to what the New Orleans Saints decided to do when Erik McCoy went out in game.
What about Nick Saldiveri, Ross? What's his prospects?
Yeah, I think that he's the guy that could potentially end up slotting in at left guard if they do move Lucas Patrick from guard to center, as is sort of what I expect at this time. The thing with Saldiveri is that he missed a whole bunch of training camp, right? He dealt with that calf injury all throughout camp and everything. So the Saints in game going to Oliudo made sense. He's the guy with more time on task that's not coming off of an injury like Landon Young was. And so having somebody like Nick Saldiveri, maybe with, now more opportunity, more time on the field, having practice now for the last couple of weeks, maybe with a week of practice could potentially be the guy that ends up starting at left guard. So I'd watch for him to be in that conversation along with Landon Young and Oliudo.
Is he healthy? Is Saldiveri healthy as best we know, like able to play?
I've been told that he is healthy and that he feels good to play. He ended up going in on that one play that the Saints had to take Cesar Ruiz off for a snap. He ended up going in at left guard, and they shifted Oliudo over to right guard in that situation. The big question mark around Saldiveri was basically getting his wind, right? Getting the conditioning, football shape, all those things. That's where sort of you're hoping that the progress has continued over the course of the portion of his return since the season began.
Yeah, I guess he wouldn't be active if he wasn't able to play.
Right.
You wouldn't carry him on the active roster. Ross Jackson's with us. He's on Twitter at Ross Jackson Nola. Y'all give him a follow. You can read his stuff over at LouisianaSports.net. Of course, you can hear him on the Locked On Saints podcast every single day. You have a piece up for us over at LouisianaSports.net where you kind of you knocked around 3 possibilities that the Saints could address maybe in free agency or veterans that they could sign. Let's run through these options as you see, and we can take them one at a time. You started with center Mason Cole. What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, Cole's an interesting one because, look, the Saints have shown traditionally that they like their, Big Ten offensive linemen. We've seen that with Ryan Ramczyk. We've seen that with Cesar Ruiz. This is another one of those guys that's coming from that conference of colleges in his history as a Michigan Wolverine. But even beyond that, he overlapped with offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak in Minnesota in 2021. So there's some familiarity there. The system was different during that time, but maybe their familiarity will help a little bit with whatever that learning curve is going to be. I think when you look at the fact that he's got 2 straight years of over 1,000 yards of snaps at center with the Pittsburgh Steelers over the course of the past couple of years, who are typically a team that has a strong offensive line, I think that's something that kind of leans there a little bit too. So he gives you a little bit of familiarity, gives you some athleticism, and gives you a little bit of experience as well. They could add him immediately to the active roster or as a free agent if they end up moving Erik McCoy to injured reserve, which makes sense, and then moving a practice squad member up to their active roster. They could put Cole on their practice squad, give him a couple of weeks to kind of learn the system, and then see if he can move up from there.
Okay.
So they'd have some multiple options there.
Another veteran is Brian Allen, who won a Super Bowl at the Rams a couple of years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And he's somebody that was a big-time contributor to what that run game was. And as that run game even rebranded year after year over in Los Angeles, going from wide zone to mid ISO and kind of all the different things that he can do. He's got a 5.0 40-yard dash speed, so he has the speed and athleticism that you're looking for and the experience within the wide zone system, even though he doesn't have any overlap with the existing coaching staff. That's notable.
The other option that you mentioned was Connor McGovern. That's a little more complex because he's currently on the Jets practice squad. So walk us through if they decided to go that. First of all, the prospect and what that would all entail if they were able to add him.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. Now, I want to make sure that I say, too, there's 2 Connor McGovverns in the NFL. One of them currently plays for the Bills. We're discussing, as you mentioned, the one that came into the league in 2017. And somebody like, he plays for the Bills. Like, no, the other one.
The other one.
And so he's on that Jets practice squad. We'll get to that in a sec. But the reason why I think that he is he would be of interest to New Orleans comes down a lot to the fact that, look, he had familiarity with John Benton, who's the New Orleans Saints offensive line coach now. Benton was the offensive line coach and run game coordinator in 2021, 2022 with the Jets. And so I think that that's something that really lends itself a bit to what it is that New Orleans could potentially do. They found some success there, too. So he's another one that's got a little bit of familiarity and that has some familiarity also with what the system was intended to be during that time too. The tricky part with him is that he's not an option for your practice squad because he's already on another team's practice squad. You would have to sign him to the active roster. So he would be a guy that you would be signing in lieu of elevating anybody from your practice squad up. That doesn't mean that it's impossible, but it's just a little bit of a different process.
Yeah, it's a great notation to keep in mind. Last thing, any idea this week, Ross, what a timeline would look like for them to make any personnel decisions?
Well, Tuesdays are typically the days where they'll do some tryouts and things like that. It's a typical tryout day across the NFL. We should be getting transaction reports here soon from the NFL, so we'll see if there's anything that took place for the Saints in terms of hosting any of those workouts, tryouts, anything like that. I would imagine that anything that they wanted to do, even if it's not necessarily adding somebody to the practice squad, but maybe making an elevation or anything like that, that any of that stuff would probably happen before they got into practice tomorrow. The big key is going to be, when do they make the decision to move Erik McCoy to injured reserve? There's not a real reason to wait, but we've also watched New Orleans kind of slow play the IR moves in the past. But with surgery, that seems like a pretty significant and pretty easy decision to make. So that would have to be the first thing that kind of falls in place to open up that roster spot and then potentially start moving either a new player onto your active roster or moving somebody up from the practice squad.
Make sure you get over to LouisianaSports.net. You can read all of Ross's work there, including his piece that he has up right now on the 3 options the Saints should consider to replace Erik McCoy, who's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks with groin surgery. Tough blow for New Orleans. Ross, we appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, bud. Take care. Stay safe. Talk to you soon.
That's our pleasure. Of course, you can hear Ross on the Locked On Saints podcast as well, however you get podcasts, or on YouTube. Does an awesome job. And you can read him over at LouisianaSports.net. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, SouthPointVW.com, new and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge, and online at SouthPointVW.com. Remember, at South Point Volkswagen, Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealers, they move more Volkswagens than anyone, which means they have a larger pre-owned inventory than anyone as well. So even if you're shopping for a used vehicle, their certified pre-owned inventory is awesome. All different makes and models, not just Volkswagen. So make sure you get to the website. My buddy Kerry Manuel is the certified pre-owned manager over at South Point Volkswagen. He'll take awesome care of you. And if you're looking for something they don't have, give them a shot to see if they can find it. They can pull resources from dealerships all over the state and all over the country as well. So check them out at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland, or SouthPointVW.com, SouthPointVW.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? Okay, y'all, let me knock out our final break here of hour number 1. Because we had Ross right there at 4:30, wanted to flip. We'll do around the SEC when we come back. There's a change under center in Norman. We'll get to that. Jaden versus Joe, part 1 was magnificent. We got to watch that on Monday night, get some reaction to that. John Stinchcomb in 30 minutes from right now. We'll get a player's perspective on what it means not having Erik McCoy in there for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Ton to do, and glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon. Get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You know what to do. Go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. Tons of resources there on the website over at getgordon.com. You can read testimonials from other past clients that have been injured. Gordon and his team help. You scroll down, you see all those real results right there, the client testimonials. Also, if you're curious about the types of cases that Gordon and his staff handle, it doesn't matter if it's car accidents or truck accidents, personal injury, offshore, maritime, workers' comp. Effectively, if you've been injured in an accident, any kind of accident, it's not your fault, you need representation, you need Gordon McKernan and his team. And they service the entire state of Louisiana with offices in Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Alexandria, Shreveport, Ascension, Livingston, Zachary, Hammond, Lake Charles, Monroe. They're all over the state. So call 888-8888. That's 888-8888, or go to getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
She thinks my tractor's sexy. It really turns her on.
Congratulations to Jamari Tillman of Baton Rouge. Jamari is the Week 4 winner in our 2024 Pick'em contest and wins a Hooters wing party for 10 people. Don't forget to make your picks for round 5 by Thursday at noon. Weekly winners receive a Hooters wing party for 10 people, and the first place season-long champion will receive a 75-inch 4K flat-screen TV and soundbar, plus free Hooters wings for an entire year. It's the 2024 College Football Pick'em presented by Hooters.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1. Give us some thoughts on Monday Night Football. What a show by the 2 LSU Heisman Trophy winners. But we just flipped things here with Ross here in the last segment, so let's do it right now. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Oklahoma Sooners.
Michael Hawkins Jr. is going to start at quarterback for Oklahoma against Auburn. He'll replace Jackson Arnold. I hate to say I told you so, but told you so, you idiots. You got rid of a veteran quarterback that won 10 games for a freshman, and now you're benching a month into the season? Morons. Hope you lose them all, idiots. Mississippi State.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
And then Texas A&M, and then Bama, and then Kentucky, and then South Carolina. Got it? You got them? All right. Jeff Levy has named his starting quarterback for the game this week against Texas after Blake Shapen's injury. They'll roll with Michael Van Burden. Actually, we did that one yesterday.
Texas A&M!
Yeah, we did.
Wasn't official yesterday. That's the official announcement.
Connor Wegman's injury update. Mike Elko has said that Wegman is a game time decision. Not sure whether he'll be healthy enough. And even if he is, I guess, I don't know. You think they'll put him back? Marcel Reed's been really good. Look, man, all I know is that all offseason people tried to tell us Connor Wegman was going to be a first rounder. Didn't we hear that all offseason? Hey, Connor Wegman's going to be a first rounder.
I heard it.
I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, we saw that guy play like 2 games a year ago, then got hurt. And now he's played terribly this year and got hurt again. Whatever.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Kalen DeBoer updated injury status of Malachi Moore and some others for this Georgia game. Starting DB Malachi Moore's return to practice is expected to play. Suffered a head injury against Wisconsin, but's cleared all the concussion protocol. Another player to look for is linebacker Quay Russaw. For his part, he got knocked out of the Wisconsin game with an apparent leg injury. Still trying to get back, but DeBoer says he's optimistic for Saturday.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Kentucky running back Chip Trayanum. He's cleared to play this week against Ole Miss. Not that it's going to matter. Trayanum has yet to appear in a game for Kentucky. Transferred him from Ohio State this offseason. Expected to be the starting running back for the Wildcats, but had a hand injury, which has kept him sidelined. Played in 23 games for the Buckeyes over the last 2 years.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
And how about this? Carolina's Garnet Trust NIL Collective has launched 1801 Media. It's a new entity trying to drive dollars through its collective. It's a partnership with the college sports company and NOCAP Sports. It's already generated more than 6 figures in committed revenue, and they intend to reach $1 million in revenue in year 1. They'll produce content for the school, handle media operations, etc. New revenue opportunities. It's interesting to see how many different companies are trying to, or how many different collectives are finding creative ways to fundraise. New in there for South Carolina with a lot of content creation around it. We'll keep you posted. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. We're brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows door siding. Oh, yeah. They do indoor shutters as well over at Relief Windows. Not only will shutters beautify your home, but it will also make your home more energy efficient. They can prove this to you, how when you install those shutters in the interior of your home, it'll help reduce the temperature in your home, make your home more energy efficient. Not only the energy efficient windows, but the shutters as well will increase your home's resale value, beautify, and of course, when you're talking about Relief Windows, lifetime transferable warranty on labor, material, and glass breakage. It's Relief Windows. Why would you call anybody else? If you're just shopping price, I've told you this before, don't call Relief Windows. They won't be the cheapest. They can't be the cheapest. They're offering a premium product, the best customer service you'll find anywhere. They'll never take a down payment from you. You don't pay $1 until they're done and you're thrilled. They have financing options as well. They're the best. You want the best, you call Relief Windows. You want to shop price and just buy the cheapest, then shop someone else. But Relief Windows, you'll never, ever, ever be sorry. The quality and the service they provide. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Sports Center's coming up. We'll get you caught up on national headlines. We're glad you're with us. John Stinchcomb will be here in about 20 minutes. Get a player's thought on the Erik McCoy injury, and Sean Salisbury in hour number 3. We'll certainly talk about what in the world happened with Derek Carr and the Saints offense through his perspective. And Garrett Nussmeier continues to be efficient as LSU is lopsided with pass to run. Does balance really need to exist? Talk about all that with Sean in hour 3. Sports Center's coming up next. It's AFR.
AFR.
We continue to extend our congratulations to Miss Beth Barron over at Shea Tire and Auto Service, a Modern Tire Dealer's National Tire Dealer of the Year. Miss Beth Barron over at Shea Tire and Auto Service. She has continued to instill those family values, which were set forth by Mr. Charlie, her dad, back in 1968 when they opened their doors for business. And, man, they just continue to thrive as they expand smartly and strategically to be all throughout the southern part of our state now, from Morgan City up to Baton Rouge, to West Baton Rouge, to Lafayette, to Acadiana as well. Listen, if you need tires, it's pretty simple. Shea is going to sell you name brand tires at wholesale prices, and they're going to treat you like family. So you keep coming back year after year after year. Like I tell people all the time, you need a tire repair, they'll do it for free, even if you didn't buy the tires at Shea, because that's just the way that you're supposed to treat people. They're the best. Shea Tire and Auto Service. SheaBillsTire.com.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play. with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Hall of Fame quarterback Brett Favre revealed he was recently diagnosed with Parkinson's disease while testifying today at a congressional committee hearing on welfare reform. Everything is on the table for the 0-3 Jaguars. Coach Doug Peterson, not ruling anything out, said there has to be changes, whether it's play design, personnel. Getting Jacksonville on track this season won't be easy, explains ESPN NFL analyst Jeff Saturday.
It's like everybody takes turns kind of shooting themselves in the foot, and you just, when you never know where the problems are going to be, you can't fix them because it could be anybody and everybody, not just one issue. It's a number, and that's the worst place to be on a team.
Jeff Saturday on Carlin versus Joe. The Raiders staying with quarterback Gardner Minshew as their starter for Sunday's game against the Browns. The Steelers again will prepare for quarterback Justin Fields to start Sunday against the Colts. Russell Wilson with that calf injury will be limited at practice tomorrow. Meantime, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler's reporting Steelers edge rusher Alex Highsmith likely out multiple weeks with a groin injury. He will not need surgery.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Wednesday, Sam Darnold and Justin Fields are off to fast starts. I'll tell you what you should expect from them for the rest of the season. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Go!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, man!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Former Saints offensive lineman John Stinchcomb in 15 minutes. The big story of the day, if you haven't heard, maybe you're just knocking off of work, jumping in the car, flipping on YouTube, WBTR. Erik McCoy, groin injury, will require surgery, out 6 to 8 weeks. The Saints need answers and options on the offensive line, a position group that was thin to begin with and now has lost its best player for the next month and a half, 2 months. We'll keep you posted there. We'll get John Stinchcomb's reaction here shortly. The entire country reacted to Monday Night Football, and it was a battle of LSU Heisman Trophy winners, Tigers in the program were on center stage. Tons of mentions, obviously. Shots of both Jaden and Joe Burrow in their LSU uniforms and clips from their careers at LSU, which was awesome. I mean, it ended up being a 3-hour commercial. And because the other game with the Jags and the Bills was a total dud and was over halfway through the first quarter, this game, which ended up being spectacular and entertaining, drew all the attention, and it was highlighted by two quarterbacks playing at an otherworldly level. Joe Burrow was awesome in this game. Burrow was 29 of 38 for 324, 3 touchdowns, no picks, a QBR of 73, and a quarterback rating of 127.5. Joe Burrow was incredible. His team scored 33 points on their home field and lost because Jaden Daniels was whatever incredible is, and then you top that was Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels was record-setting. Jaden Daniels was 21 of 23, 2 incompletions, completed more than 90% of his passes. 254, 2 passing touchdowns, a rushing touchdown. He had a QBR of 93 and a rating of 141.7. Jaden Daniels was absolutely otherworldly, and if you were not watching the game, the touchdown he threw at the end of the ball game to Terry McLaurin, the clincher, was a cold-blooded dagger. I mean, on a third down play, up 5 from 27 yards out, and you're in field goal range, you're up 5. The Bengals are trying to hold to a field goal, holding to 3, so it's still a one-possession game. Jaden didn't take the easy way out. He lofts one down the right sideline to Terry McLaurin, pinned right up against the sideline in coverage. And Jaden Daniels showed again why he is the best and most accurate deep ball thrower in football today. That's not just college football. He is translated to the NFL, and he continues to be absolutely otherworldly. I mean, what an amazing thing to watch last night, Jaden Daniels on that stage. Afterwards, Jaden Daniels was asked about that big-time performance coming on Monday Night Football.
I'll just say I'm a competitor. I want to compete at the highest level, and obviously it's a blessing to go out there each and every Sunday to do things that a lot of people in the world can't do. I'm going to be blessed to be a part of one of the 32 teams that go out there and compete every Sunday, and, Mondays or whenever we play.
There's two sides of this. One, of course, is Jaden Daniels, who immediately has Washington, I don't want to say a contender, but they're 2-1. They just won in Cincinnati. If you haven't been paying attention, Washington has scored or taken a knee on 17 consecutive drives. They had 8 possessions on Monday night, 5 touchdowns, a field goal, and a kneel down at the end of each half. Basically, when they've been trying, they have scored on 17 consecutive possessions. That's more than 2 full games now. They haven't had a turnover, and they haven't punted. Oh, and Jaden completed 91.3% of his passes. That's an NFL rookie record for a game. Everyone watching that loved it, except people in Chicago. Morons. This is 2 years in a row now. The team with the number 1 overall pick has completely whiffed by their collective groupthink. Carolina went with Bryce Young. C.J. Stroud at number 2 overall was the rookie of the year. It looks like one of the best players on the planet. Caleb Williams, despite all those weapons. I mean, who would you rather have? DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, that cast of characters there in Chicago. Or whatever it is that Jaden Daniels has in Washington. And that offense looks prolific right now. We talked about it when Jaden was drafted, that I really legitimately felt like Washington was a better situation. I know Washington has been the armpit of the NFL for a long time with Dan Snyder being there, but he's finally gone. You have good ownership that has instilled culture in Washington. You brought in Dan Quinn to be the head coach, and say what you will about Dan Quinn, the head coach. Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator, has always had good defenses, similar to Dennis Allen. So if you're Jaden, you know you're going to have at least complementary football with a good defense. Cliff Kingsbury is a good offensive coordinator. He's a good play caller. He was just never going to recruit at Texas Tech, and he won at Arizona as the head coach there until Kyler Murray got hurt and the whole thing unraveled. But Jaden is not in a bad situation. They're going to continue to build talent around him. I like the situation he's in. We said that before the draft, that as much as for like the pride and the flex, you'd love for him to go number one overall, but Washington is a better situation. But Carolina and Chicago the last 2 years have completely screwed the pooch in the draft by passing on the guy that was clearly the better quarterback to go with the group think that everyone said for years and years and years was the better player, the transcendent player. And Caleb Williams, meanwhile, is shunning C.J. Stroud at midfield after he's trying to give him advice. Anyway, it's their problem, not ours. But the other side of this is the Burrow angle of this. Burrow, who is established and who is a great player, but his Bengals now are 0-3. Jaden Daniels, after the game, was asked about that conversation that he and Joe Burrow had after the game.
Yeah, we talked a little bit, but, just keep going. Obviously, we have a lot of respect for each other, so that's the main thing, the main points that we're talking about.
I'd love to know what they said. Joe kind of covered his mouth and was saying something to Jaden. All the cameras are there, so you don't know exactly what was said. I'd love to know what it was. Those are the things like maybe in a mic'd up an NFL film situation, you may only get that later. But naturally, Jaden was pretty excited about how it went. Jaden was also asked if it meant more to get that first primetime win against Joe Burrow.
Yeah, no matter who the opponent is, getting a win in the primetime game, getting a win in general, it's huge for the team, for the fan base, for the organization.
Jaden's always going to say the right things, man. I remember from the very beginning when he showed up here, we had that conversation with Ryan Clark about Jaden. Of course, Jaden was teammates with Ryan's son, Jordan, at Arizona State, knew him well. And even after the Bama game, I remember him saying, Jordan, Ryan's son, had talked to Jaden the next day and was kind of relaying the conversation. He said, he's just 5. It's just he's never too high or too low with how things go, and he just keeps that even keel, which I think is one of the reasons he's able to be so good on football Saturdays, now football Sundays, or even Mondays. The flip side of it is Joe Burrow, who's obviously very complimentary of Jaden Daniels.
I mean, yeah, of course I'm watching him. He played great. Yeah, so I told him that after the game. Congrats to him. Big-time performance. Credit to them. They played unbelievable. We didn't quite match their level of execution.
And now the Bengals are 0-3. I got to tell y'all, a lot of LSU fans loved watching that game. I found it agonizing. I don't know how you felt about it, but I looked at that, and I was so excited when Burrow hit Jamar Chase for the 41-yarder, which was the first score of the game. I was fired up. I'm like, Burrow, Chase, it's unfair. And then they shoot to Jaden, and then I'm like, I feel this hollow feeling like, damn, man, now Jaden's losing. And then Jaden and the Commanders go and do what they did. Obviously, I'm fired up for Jaden, and then you're looking at Joe postgame, and you realize they're 0-3, and I'm like, damn, this sucks. It was such a wild swing and contrast of emotions. I don't know how parents watch their kids compete against each other. Like the Kelseys, when Jason and Travis competed against each other in the Super Bowl, I cannot fathom that. When Archie and Olivia would watch Peyton and Eli go against each other all those years, like I cannot even imagine the Watts, competing against each other. I don't know how, as a parent, you could watch your kids do that. I mean, I'm not either of these guys' parents. We all went to the same school. I love LSU, and now they're playing in the NFL. I want them to do great, and I found that agonizing. But on one hand, it was a lot of fun to watch them both have a lot of success. But for the Bengals now, y'all, they got a really uphill climb. You may not know this number. Some of you may because it gets thrown out a lot. But since 1990, only 4 out of 162 NFL teams started 0-3 to go on and make the playoffs. That's a success rate of 2.5%. But sportsbooks, sportsbetting.ag, gives the Bengals, who are winless, a 44.4% chance still of making the playoffs. So that is an astronomical percentage relative to the number of teams that start 0-3 that actually do make the playoffs. So if you're wondering, a couple of other winless teams, the Jags and the Titans, also have a better probability. Jags at 23%, Titans at 13.3%. at 0-3 to make the playoffs. We'll see how that may all go. But Bengals trying to become just the 5th team since 1990 to start 0-3 and make the playoffs. Uphill climb for Joey B and the Bengals, who happen to be my Super Bowl pick as well. So I'm pulling for you, Joe. Let's see if you can dig out of that hole. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. Let's knock out a quick break. John Stinchcomb will join us next, talk a little bit about a player's perspective on the offensive line and what it means not only to lose your starting center, but for these Saints to lose Erik McCoy. Stick around. It's AFR.
After further review.
AFR is brought to you by Clegg's Nursery, 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Siegen Air Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. They're just the best over at Clegg's Nursery. And y'all, as the season starts to change, it is time, y'all. We are pushing toward fall. It is time to go get by and see our friends at Clegg's Nursery. They got all the decor, pumpkins, hay bales, squash, gourds, scarecrows, all of it. You want to decorate your front porch, your back patio, your office, whatever it may be, Clegg's has all the decor. It's also time to plant that fall vegetable garden. It's also time to plant fruit trees. A little early for other trees and shrubs, but it is time now for fruit trees. They're stocked up on all of it, and if you're a deer hunter, they've got buck busters, all your fall seed mix, mow bucks, deer corn, rice bran. They got it all at all 4 locations. So if you're putting out those plots, get by and see our friends at Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you in to Clegg's Nursery.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard, especially for communication and things like that. But I thought Lucas did a fantastic job. He's a veteran, super smart. He's been in the system, in different varieties. And so I thought he did a great job. But I always say, anytime you lose anybody, on a football team, you never can just replace them. They bring a certain role and they bring a certain piece of the puzzle, but it's always next man up, and I thought those guys battled.
Derek Carr, after the game on Sunday, talking about losing Erik McCoy, figured let's call on our guy, John Stinchcomb, former Saints Pro Bowl offensive tackle, to talk about what it means to lose a guy like McCoy or any offensive lineman mid-game. Hey, John, we appreciate it as always, man. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Always our pleasure. I'll ask you a big-picture question, then we'll kind of get a little more narrow. Why is it so impactful when you lose your center?
Well, they make calls. They get everybody on the same page before the quarterback gets up there. Obviously, any veteran quarterback has the ability and wherewithal to make adjustments, but it just speeds up the process of and the operation of being able to get up and down and in and out of a huddle and get into your play a heck of a lot quicker when your center is able to get everyone on the same page almost instantaneously. And anytime you lose a veteran like McCoy, who is the bell cow of that offensive front, it's going to be a loss that's felt.
Let me ask another one specifically about McCoy. Why, and you've gotten to see him a lot, obviously, what makes him specifically so good at what he does?
I think he's got a really good anchor, and he's athletic, and that really separates a lot of the centers. Some are one or the other, very few are both, and he's got that ability to move in space well, but also, one-on-one situation with some of the nose guards in this league is a challenge for a lot of guys, and he's got the power and ability to sit down and still allow a pocket for Derek Carr behind him. So, he's one of the best centers in the league and probably at times has been underappreciated.
I would certainly agree with that. Pro Football Focus rated him through 2 weeks the highest graded offensive lineman in the entire NFL through 2 weeks. So obviously that impact was felt. What about making a mid-game change like that, John, when you have to do what the Saints did? McCoy out, Patrick over, Oli Udoh in. When you spend an entire, maybe you could speak to this, when you spend an entire week game planning, then 3 plays in, there's that much of a change. How does that affect the operation?
Yeah, I think you're really grateful that you spent the offseason adding a couple of veteran pieces that have been in a fire, have understood what it means to come in and not allow a drop-off in performance, and being able to move. Lucas Patrick wasn't penciled in as the starter at left guard to begin this season. Obviously wanting to compete and sees himself as a starter, and hopefully rightfully so. I think he's played beyond expectations up to this point, and probably was penciled in more as a backup center in case of a situation like this. So when you sign guys like Lucas Patrick and Oli, the hope is you never have to see him play. The reality is it's a long, brutal season.
Yeah.
And it is only a matter of time, especially this year. You look across the league, and there have been a number of offensive linemen go down. The Saints' next opponent is not free and clear from that same claim as well. So there have been a lot of injuries that have been seen, especially offensive linemen, early this season.
And Falcons lost their center, Drew Dahlman, as well. They're going to IR, so the Saints are going to play a team this week that lost their starting center as well. John Stinchcomb is our guest. How different is it, John, or is it, when you have to make a change like that mid-game, right? Lucas Patrick spends the whole week getting ready to play left guard next to Erik McCoy. Now, all of a sudden, 3 plays in, boom, your role changes, and now you're the center. How different is that for Lucas Patrick as opposed to what he's likely going to have to do this week, which is prepare all week to be the starting center?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're grateful that he was a starter. So there is a mental aspect of just preparation, but the ask is different. Trying to identify and be the vocal center point for that offensive line when you were expecting a different role heading into that week, there is a change. And I thought he did a great job of trying to make that transition. But having a week's worth of preparation, anyone would appreciate that more. Obviously, for Lucas, he's going, okay, now I can see things different. The ask is a little bit different, and I've got a full week to prepare for that. But that's the nature of the beast. For the interior guys, they know that it's only you're one snap away from stepping into whatever role that you're assigned to. And for Lucas, again, I think it's that veteran mentality and preparation that comes with he had to be prepared if something were to happen to McCoy like it did, for him to slide over and step in. So it's really more of a dual ask for him that now he can just focus solely on playing center heading into this week.
John, is there a game you can remember where you had to deal with something similar, like a sudden change like that a game that immediately pops in your mind, some of the challenges you all faced when you had to go through something like that?
I'm thinking about, there's a couple different scenarios where it was star caps. It was a diet drug where it wasn't until late in the week that we recognized there was 4 players, I believe, that weren't going to be available. That's a little bit different than mid-game. There are always, I can think of a couple different games where, a player goes down and lost for the rest of the game or the rest of the series. And, the old adage of next man up, that's the league that we're in. And there are some adjustments that are made depending on what you're walking into. I know, there was an opportunity when Jamal Brown went down. He was playing left tackle, and Jermon Bushrod, who was young, probably his rookie year that year, comes in at left tackle, and there were some schematic changes because we're in Denver, and their defensive ends were some pretty adept pass rushers. And there's only so much that you can adjust, but you also recognize that there is a change, just like the Saints will recognize there is a change. Erik McCoy is one of the best, and you're grateful that you've got a guy like Patrick that can step in, but to think that there's not going to be some differences that are noticed or felt, I think would be naive, and I certainly don't see this staff nor this team as being naive.
John, do you have a feeling, because we also, in 2021, Cesar Ruiz, who was a center at Michigan, when McCoy got hurt, slid over and played center. So you got 2 guys that could do it. Do you have a feeling one way or another if they should move Ruiz or Lucas Patrick?
Well, they certainly didn't ask my opinion.
Right.
I feel confident that they know what they're doing. I've always thought it a little bizarre. I think having watched Ruiz's film coming out of college, looking at his profile, that I thought he was a more natural fit at center, and was just willing to slide over because McCoy, has established himself in that space. But I trust the fact that the coaches who see them on a daily basis have a much better understanding of the skill sets and how they complement one another better than I do.
Yeah. The last thing is sort of the domino effect, right? It's not just that you lose Erik McCoy, but then you slide Patrick over, Oliudo goes in. Now you've affected multiple positions on the line. The next man up adage, it's what we always say, and I'll talk about it. That's easier said than done. Obviously, starters are starters for a reason. Can you speak to that chain effect of everything that is affected whenever someone goes out like that, and now you're moving multiple positions?
Yeah, absolutely. So anytime, a lot of what the Saints are doing now is zone work in the run game, and what you'll see is defensive front they'll try to poke holes in the fence and see how you are at communicating, whether or not you're able to get on the same page and passing off, games and twists and, TEs where a tackle penetrates and an end wraps. They're going to test all those things. And you get a feel for how to work with the guy next to you. I know it was different with, let's say, Montre Holland or Jamar Nesbitt back in the day than it was with Ja Reed, the way they took on blocks, their entry points into double teams, all those things change. And, they're just nuances, but that's what this game is. It's such a detail-oriented game where the margins are so small that being able to coordinate and having those reps with the guy you're playing next to allows you to understand, it's not making compensations for it, but it's a matter of how can I help the guy next to me and how can he help me? How are we going to maximize our abilities together? So there's a lot to it when it comes to anytime you're working next to a guy where, for fans, they don't care. I mean, your job is to block those two guys in front of you, get it done, which is sometimes easier said than done.
Last thing for you, John. I know I said the last thing, but I do have one more because as you were running through that, I was thinking about the game itself against Philly. How much of the struggles that they had, both in pass protection and the ability to get the run game going, would you directly equate to Erik McCoy going out, the shuffle there? How much of it maybe was Philly did a really good job of, now that there's 2 games of film of what New Orleans, the offense is trying to do, they were able to game plan for it?
Yeah, it's never really one thing, right? I mean, it's always, you look at, Philly has heard nothing but for the previous 3 weeks how they've underperformed as a defensive front, that they can't stop the run, and they're prideful professionals too, where you're going, okay, there's only so much of this I'm willing to listen to. So I think that's part of it. I think also New Orleans isn't catching anyone off guard anymore. I mean, we've shown a couple cards now and proven that this Kubiak system, in conjunction with the players that obviously are buying in and believing in it, is very effective. So, one, there's a motivating factor on Philly's side. 2, there is not the ability to catch folks off guard anymore. You kind of know what you're going to get. Primarily, I mean, there's obviously wrinkles every week, but the main thrust of this Saints offense, it's on film now. And so I do think there's an aspect of that. And then the third piece is equally as important, and that's you lose that centerpiece in Erik McCoy. And, there is a drop off. So I think it's always a combination of things, and you're just hoping each week that you've dialed in the right combination to get the job done.
He is former Saint Pro Bowl offensive tackle John Stinchcomb, always generous with his time. John, we appreciate a couple of minutes, man. Thank you so much as always.
I enjoyed it. Always like talking a little ball, especially Saints football, and advance of the Falcons week, no less. So looking forward to it. Should be a good NFC South battle that I fully expect the Who Dat Nation to be celebrating afterwards.
Man, they need to go get this one. Here's hoping they can. Thank you, John.
Appreciate it.
Be
Have a good
well.
one.
You do the same. It's John Stinchcomb. It's After Further Review. We're powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Y'all get to the website, sunnyquip.com, sunnyquip.com. Remember, you get your tickets. They're raffling off that LSU John Deere Gator. All the proceeds benefiting 4-H and FFA. They'll draw the winner for the Vanderbilt game. So if you want to go see pictures of that Gator, it's the thing Condon and I rode around downtown Baton Rouge a few months back. You can see pictures of it at sunnyquip.com. You can buy your raffle tickets at sunnyquip.com. Sun, E-Q-U-I-P, sunnyquip.com. All right, quick break. We'll come back. Hugh Freeze is, not saying smart things, and Reggie Bush is suing everybody. It's AFR.
After Further Review.
Y'all, you probably noticed the Fed lowered interest rates again. Man, the housing market is coming alive. You're seeing buyers come back to the market. So if you're thinking about selling your home as part of buyers coming into the market, more people start to list their home for sale. So if that's you and you've been thinking about it, now is the time to call Darren James. Remember, it's Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. I'm going to give you Darren's cell number. Say this on air every single day. I mean, this is Darren James giving his personal cell phone number on air for anyone to call him or text him. If you need to sell your home, you need the best. Darren, Wall Street Journal's Real Trends list the top 1% of realtors in America, number 13 in America, number 1 in Louisiana on the number of homes sold. That's all you need to know. Why would you hire anyone other than the realtor that sells more homes than anyone? It's Darren James. 335-7666, 335-7666.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
She's always staring at me while I'm chugging along.
Hugh Freeze was on his Tiger Talk show on the Auburn Sports Radio Network, and he made some comments. They lost to Arkansas this past week, and he made some comments that are getting an awful lot of attention. Here are those comments.
I mean, no offense whatsoever to Arkansas or to Cal. I love Sam Pittman. I hope he wins the rest of his games. But I'm telling you, the hard truth is we play them 9 more times, we beat them 9 times. And that's what's hard to take. And it's hard for our fans, I'm sure, and it's certainly hard for us. And you have 460-something yards, and we only had 50-something plays of offense because we turned it over 5 times. And it's just it's frustrating. The game, and and it's the truth for me too. I'm not, because we've got to get them to where the winning ways are happening on those critical downs.
The part of that that's gotten obviously the most attention is Hugh Freeze saying that, it means no disrespect to Arkansas, but if he plays them 9 more times, they beat him nine times. And he's not wrong in the sense that they outgained Arkansas, and it was a winnable game, but they also trailed the entire way, and they turned it over 5 times. I mean, I feel a lot about what Hugh Freeze was saying there, the same way that I feel about South Carolina fans bitching about the refs when LSU played. You play a 60-minute football game with 70-some-odd plays on both sides, 150 plays in total in a game. There's so much you can do or should do to control the outcome. So in one respect, I do understand Hugh Freeze, saying that he feels like they should have beat him. But the problem is you turned the ball over 5 times and you lost to Arkansas and you lost to Cal because you're not a very good football team. And you're not a very good football team because of your own doing, because you have poor quarterback play. Well, you're the one who decided to commit to Peyton Thorne. Not a good decision. You benched him for Hank Brown. You got a young guy playing, making mistakes. Again, your decision. So, we talked about it all offseason. Thorne was the portal kid that they brought in from Michigan State, and you went in the portal once for him. Like, you can go and improve your team. And sometimes it works to your benefit, and sometimes it works to your detriment. I mean, Kentucky went and added Will Levis, and they thought that'd be the path to go. And now every year they go out and they add a transfer quarterback, and sometimes it's strikes and sometimes it's gutters. Right now, Brock Vandagriff looks like he shouldn't even be playing for a Kentucky Division IV high school team, let alone the University of Georgia. He's just not a good player, or University of Kentucky. He's not a good player. It's no wonder why he lost the job to Carson Beck. He's just not a good college football player. But you went in the portal and you missed. So if you're Auburn and you decided not to go in the portal here and you're stuck with what you got, you're stuck with what you got. Now, I'll look at it and I'll tell you, man, Auburn's one of those teams that, coming out of SEC Media Days, that I thought was one of the sleepers. Not necessarily a team that I thought would do well, but a team that could get to 7 or 8 wins this year looking at their schedule. Because I certainly operated under the assumption that they were going to beat Cal and Arkansas on their home field. But they lost to Cal 21-14 and lost to Arkansas 24-14 because they can't get out of their own way. They should be 4-0. Instead, they're 2-2, and that's the makings of a bad football team. That's what you are. And now they got to play Oklahoma, which is not going to be easy. And then they got to go to Georgia. So you could be sitting there looking at 2-4 at the halfway point of your schedule, and you got at Missouri, at Kentucky, Vandy, ULM, A&M, at Bama. I mean, you could be looking at a 4-win football team this year for for Auburn. And if that's the case, how antsy do they start to get on the plains? Now, I think they're gonna put it together somewhere and clip someone they should. Maybe it's on the road against a top 10 Missouri team. I don't know. But they should beat Vandy and ULM at home. Could they clip Georgia or Missouri and Kentucky? Maybe. They played Georgia closer than anybody last year. So it's a long season. We'll see how it goes. But it's a little tough to stomach as well to hear a coach complain about things like that when all of this is your own doing. So that's the lot for Hugh Freeze. Boy, if ever there was a year to have Auburn and Mississippi State on your schedule, if you're LSU. I mean, Auburn and Mississippi State, who you play forever, they rotate off with the new format, and you end up with what you got. Now, you went to South Carolina and you won it. You got Vandy coming in as well, and Oklahoma rotates on, and that's at home. But still, man, if ever there were a year where you would love to go play at Jordan-Hare or at Davis Wade, this might be it with those two teams not being super great. But it's the die that was cast. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. So we're brought to you by Parish Restoration, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Hey, go to parishbuilt.com, hit the restoration tab. It's what we always tell you about, the patented non-toxic dry fog treatment. Kill mold, remove odor. So many of you send me messages going, what's the mold thing you talk about? Well, same company, right? It was Mold Zero, then it was Pure Restoration, then they rebranded, and then they merged with my partners over at Parish, Richard Tilley, Ryan Terrio. So those guys are now partnered with Parish Restoration, all under the same umbrella. So you go to the same website, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com, hit the restoration tab. If you want to kill mold, remove odor, if it's pet odor, if it's odor from mold or water or sweat or smoke, either cigarette smoke or from a fire, they can get rid of all that. They can do it cost effective, and they can do it more efficiently. They can fog your house in half a day. They're in and out. And you're not ripping up carpet or cutting sheetrock, drywall, or moving furniture. They just come in as is. It's the benefit of a dry fog. It's Parish Restoration. Go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Reggie Bush is suing everybody. Not sure if you saw this, but Reggie Bush has filed a lawsuit against the Pac-12, the NCAA, and his alma mater, Southern Cal, saying that he got screwed out of NIL compensation because NIL wasn't a rule back when he was playing and everybody made money off of him, which, of course, that is the case. Hey, Reggie. Look, man. We need, let's have a conversation, you and me. Let's you and me, Reggie, have a conversation. The collective college football consciousness really sympathized with you. They took away your Heisman. Nobody was in favor of that. And especially as the rule changed, everyone got behind you. Give Reggie back his Heisman. Even people that don't like USC looked and said, hey, give that man his trophy back. We all watched him play, and he was awesome. And you were. You were awesome, Reg. But, brother, coming up and suing everybody because you couldn't make NIL money in college, that's why the NCAA just settled a massive lawsuit. That's why. You ain't going to get paid on this, bro. If you are, everybody else would. That's why they settled this lawsuit. Sometimes it just sucks that you were born when you were born, bro. I mean, Reggie, you could have been born in the Middle Ages and been fighting in crusades, been impaled by long swords. I mean, that would suck. I mean, you could have been born in 362 and been wiping your poop with a leaf or something. It ain't all that bad, man. You lived a good life. And Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player ever. Right? We all agree on that? Jordan, greatest basketball player ever? Michael Jordan's career earnings in 16 years were $93.8 million. That's pretty good. That's a lot of money. Over 16 years. Michael Jordan made $93.8 million. Chris Middleton's current contract is a 3-year, $93 million deal. Chris Middleton. Cameron Johnson signed a 4-year, $94.5 million contract. Cameron Johnson, on his current contract, is going to make more than Michael Jordan did in his entire NBA career. Bruh, sometimes it just sucks when you were born. I'm sorry you played 15 years before NIL became a thing. It's what it is. You got your trophy back. You're making all your Wendy's money. You're making your Fox money. You made NFL money. You could be all right. If you didn't take care of your money, well, that's on you. But stand down, dog. Come on. Reggie. Maybe go reconnect with Kim K. She can float you alone. All right, it's AFR. Tigers and the Pros to wrap up hour number 2 next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Glow Resources, GLO, glowresources.com, glowresources.com. They are complete employer solutions. I had a conversation today with a friend who used Glow Resources upon our recommendation here. We're looking to hire for their business, needed good people, called Glow Resources, had an awesome experience. And one of the things I said and continue to reiterate over and over, one of the great things about Glow Resources is they are so good at culture. Jareth Nakan, the CEO, I mean, you walk into their office and you get it. It's a fun vibe. It's a place people want to work with. They're fun people, and they do a great job. You realize in all of the interviews that they've done, and I've told you, more than 15,000 a year interviews they conduct, they have never, not once ever, gotten a bad review from an interviewee. Not once ever. Think about that. They're experts at what they do. If you need to find the right people, you need Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Well, she ain't in the cars or pickup trucks, but if it
All right, y'all, wrapping up hour number 2. Sean Salisbury here in about 10 minutes. We're fired up to talk to Sean as we do every single Tuesday. Right now, Miuso has Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, we start with Jaden versus Joe on Monday Night Football. History-making 3 hours last night on ABC. Jaden Daniels with the rookie record, 91.3% completion percentage, 293 total yards for Daniels, 3 touchdowns, 0 turnovers in that game for him. Joe Burrow on the other side, 29 of 38, 324, 3 touchdowns, 0 turnovers for him. It is the first game since 1940 with 0 punts and 0 turnovers. 84 years.
A lot of years.
A lot of years. For what it's worth, Joe Burrow also collected his 100th touchdown pass in his NFL career last night.
Saw that.
Just really cool all around. They had a rookie records, career touchdown passes. Jaden Daniels with a great trivia question one day. Who caught his first touchdown pass? Some O-lineman that no one's ever heard of.
That? So Jaden's not giving him the ball either.
I respect that.
I do too.
I mean,
sorry, fat guy.
Yeah.
You're going to be out of the league
bro.
in a day. You're going to be out of the league in a day, and this guy's a franchise quarterback. He's got his first touchdown. You're not getting that ball.
Not to be outdone, Jamar Chase in the game, 6 receptions for $118 and 2 scores.
He's pretty good, too.
It's pretty impressive what happens when T. Higgins gets back in that offense. Jamar kind of gets opened up a little bit. It was a great night. Enjoyed watching that. Brian Thomas was also in action. You didn't know because that game was a complete blowout. But Brian Thomas was in action, targeted 9 times, caught 5 of them for 48 yards. Solid. The Jaguars are just terrible.
I watched about 5 minutes of that game.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm not going to do this. No.
That's all you really needed to watch.
That's it.
Yeah, that was it.
Yep, got it.
That's it.
Saw what I needed to see.
You know what you could have watched instead? You could have watched the Phillies and the Cubs. Aaron Nola was on the bump last night. Fantastic outing for Nola. Win number 13 on the year. 6 innings, 2 earned. Punched out 7. There was one moment in the game when he faced Cody Bellinger, and he just made him look ridiculous. Threw 3 straight 2-seamers right under his hand. Struck him out looking.
Got him.
Through Cody Bellinger. He's pretty good. I think everyone would agree with that.
Pretty good.
Good enough in that one. Win number 13 for Nola. It's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry with locations in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Shreveport, Lafayette. Remember, gents, if you're thinking about popping the question, there's just nobody better than Lee Michaels. They have the finest diamonds from the finest diamond mines in the world. You will never find a lab or man-made diamond in their case. What are you actually buying? A science experiment? No. Only the finest diamonds in the world, the best selection at the best price. That's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Thrill her, gents, with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Okay, y'all, it's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here on this Tuesday edition of AFR. Thanks to John Stinchcomb, who was here with us last hour. Shea Dixon was here in hour number 1 talking some recruiting, and we will talk to Sean Salisbury coming up right after SportsCenter. Remember, you can always email us, tweet us, or text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Daryl, talking about Reggie Bush, said Reggie Bush also took $600,000 from an agent. Then he signed with someone else. If we would have just honored the deal, he'd never been caught and lost his Heisman. There's a lot of that. Like, it's an age-old truth. Like, be careful pointing the finger at someone else because you're going to have 3 more pointing back at you. So I am sympathetic to Reggie Bush and to every player of a past era that weren't able to make money on their name, image, and likeness. I mean, y'all know that. I'm the biggest NIL guy in the world, but Reggie Bush suing anybody, the Pac-12, the NCAA, USC, retroactively for his inability to make money, I don't even know that he has a leg to stand on. All right, whatever. As it progresses and proceeds, we'll talk about it. All right, hour number 3, Sean Salisbury next.
AFR.
Hey, drink Evamore, EVAMOR, Evamore.com. Got my 64-ounce bottle of Evamore right here. Love to drink Evamore every single day. It's a better form of hydration. Not all bottled water is created equal, y'all. Not all bottled water is the same. Paul, second day in a row. Come on, man. I know. I did have my 32-ounce bottle on the set. And I got it right there in the box. Hold on, I'm going to get it right. Drink Evamore, y'all. Evamore, better form of hydration. Tastes great. Here, there's our set prop. Got it back right there. Hey, and also Evamore is a Louisiana product. Don't buy water from Texas. Don't buy water from some, tropical island just because it comes in a square bottle. Think about what you're actually drinking. Evamore is natural artesian water from a well right there on the North Shore in Covington, bottled in Louisiana. Evamore.com. Drink Evamore. Evamore.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Hall of Fame quarterback Brett Favre revealed he was recently diagnosed with Parkinson's disease while testifying today at a congressional committee hearing on welfare reform. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, when asked for what he thought about fans blaming him for the team's 1-2 start, told 105.3 The Fan that's fair because no decisions made in Dallas without him acquiescing or approving it. Jones is right about the blame, according to ESPN NFL analyst Dominique Foxworth.
We talk about the decisions that this organization has been making in the offseason. They haven't been aggressive in free agency. I think the one saving grace is that they've drafted well, but we haven't had very many teams in recent years be able to make a Super Bowl run without making some key additions in free agency, and they aren't doing that.
Raiders staying with quarterback Gardner Minshew as their starter Sunday versus the Browns. The Steelers again preparing to start quarterback Justin Fields a fourth consecutive game against the Colts Sunday. Russell Wilson with the calf injury limited at practice tomorrow. Baseball, Tigers defeated the Rays 2-1. Detroit currently holds the second AL wildcard spot.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to save money. When you bundle your auto policy with home, condo, or renters, you'll earn a multi-policy discount. Easy to bundle, easy to save. Visit Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplake. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. Get out there and make it a good one. It's had to be joined with Sean Salisbury, trying to link up right now. A lot of times we have Sean on video. We're trying to connect. So we'll get to that here just as soon as we possibly can get Sean on the phone. Thanks for being here with us. You can always email us, tweet us, text us, jump in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat on the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel as well. Real quick, while we got a second while we're waiting on Sean, LSU, of course, plays South Alabama this week. There's been a lot of talk about South Alabama. Brian Kelly on Monday gave this little thumbnail note of the South Alabama Jaguars coming in Tiger Stadium this weekend. What?
Really good football team. Major Applewhite's done a great job. Catholic high grad. They've got 28 FBS transfer portal players on the roster, 9 of them from SEC schools. This is a team that has some really good football players, led by their quarterback, Gio Lopez, and their running back, Fluff Bothwell. These are 2 outstanding freshman players that you have to keep an eye on. Pritchett, the wide receiver, is very, very gifted and skilled, and an aggressive defense. They can pass rush, really good backers. So this will be a great challenge for us.
The other part of this, of course, as Brian Kelly mentioned, there is Major Applewhite, who, Catholic High, went to St. George and Catholic High, the University of Texas. We all know the story there. Major is coming back home to Baton Rouge to coach, and he did talk at his weekly press conference about experiences at Tiger Stadium growing up as a kid in Baton Rouge.
I spent every Saturday that I could. I was over there in the south end zone. Watching every LSU game that I could. I didn't grow up an LSU fan, but I pulled for LSU anytime they weren't playing Alabama. But I love Tiger Stadium. All my friends were LSU fans growing up. We used to go over there my junior and senior year. I'd go over there and throw 7-on-7 with LSU's players in high school. Just loved growing up there. Can't say anything. It was just a great experience.
A little gutting, though. Major, of course, is named after Major Ogilvy, an Alabama fan and family, but Major coming back home to Baton Rouge. It'd be cool to see him on the sideline there, coaching South Alabama. All right, every Tuesday we visit with our buddy Sean Salisbury, host of the Sean Salisbury Show, Sports Talk 790 there in Houston. Of course, former NFL quarterback, QB guru, just a font of knowledge. We love our opportunity to chat with Sean every week here. Sean, thanks for the time, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, buddy?
Man, I'm doing awesome. The Saints offense came crashing back down to earth on Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles. Erik McCoy went out at the starting center to the third play. I'm curious from a quarterback's perspective for you, if you're to lose your starting center, how much does that alter what you're trying to accomplish, especially real time in a game like that?
It's uncomfortable. Now, obviously, the position's an uncomfortable position. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. But when that happens, especially during the game, Maddie, when it's, sometimes you have a week or two, to prepare, say, okay, got a week, our center's out, and you just kind of get used to not only line calls, but understanding what the backup and what he's about. But I'd contend in my career, for me, but I would contend for others that even if you had a guy like Micah Parsons, or you have a devastating pass rusher, a guy that's the interior, if you get pressure in the interior, a lot of times you say, okay, that guy's great, but we can control him. You can't chip inside. You cannot take a back and chip inside.
Right.
Yeah, you can chip outside. So there's this comfortability. You say, well, on the edge, we'll find a way to control the guy on the edge. We'll use misdirection against him. We'll use the way he runs. Like when we played Lawrence Taylor, who's a different cat on the outside, we would either run at him. You didn't want to run away from him. You ran at him. And even the pass protection, you'd chip on the way out. And we had a Pro Bowl Hall of Fame left tackle. So I actually think there's more comfort, and there's no comfort at all in it, but there's a little more comfort in knowing I can control the edges, even if it's a dominating pass rusher. Sometimes they wreck the game, but your left tackle and right tackle are pretty good. In the interior, if you've got some push, and they've got a really good front seven. 2 years ago, 70 sacks and hit the quarterback about 1 million more times, and then they're back at it and they will get after you. Is the interior? There's almost a tendency to get your head on the pass rush as opposed to down the field because of no quarterback I know, whether you're a guy who scrambles east and west or whether you're a climb guy, a pocket guy like a Brady who likes to climb, reset, and let it go. Nobody likes anybody in that around your legs, nobody. And it's not only the pass protection, but it's line calls, even though the guy may be adept as a backup, and also just the audible checks, the voice inflection, how the ball hits your hands. I know that all seems elementary, but in a game, it isn't. There's a comfort level with a center, your starting center, especially if he's been doing a minute, that you just kind of lose during it. At least a week of preparation, you get a better idea. It's very uncomfortable because nobody likes people at their feet, regardless of if you're a guy who can scramble and has great feet or you're just a pure pocket guy. We'd all rather have the up the field rush where we can manipulate the pocket than we would the interior push back in your face, because it just makes for an uncomfortable throw and there's not a lot of cleanliness to it. So I can contend that position's as important as your tackles are for a lot of different reasons.
Sean, do you think the Saints offense, which was at a record-setting pace through 2 weeks and then just completely humbled, how much of that was losing your starting center 3 games in, or 3 plays into the game, and then Jalen Carter is standing over Lucas Patrick, and that was just a horrible mismatch? How much of that is you got 2 weeks of film on the Saints now, and people maybe are figuring out what they're trying to do?
Oh, I think it's both, Matt. I do. I think that, when you got a guy who can dominate and that the pressure, like I said, that interior, when you get a interior guy who's can wreck a game. Now, how many guys have we seen do that in their career? I mean, the Reggie White could play outside or inside wreck a game. We've seen J.J. Watt at times do it. Most of the time when we think of game wrecker, we think on the the perimeter, the outside guys, or blitzing people who come and wreck it that are. Rod Woodson was one of those guys. He played corner and safety in the league, but from the slot, he could wreck it. Rondé Barber. But usually it's outside. Interior, when you get a guy like an Aaron Donald who destroys you inside, and then you got double team. Then you got double, goes back to the chipping point. You got a double team, so you're using a 300-pound body instead of a back on his way out to chip out and still give you an outlet. And that double team inside, now with a team that's got more than one edge pass rusher, becomes a problem. But when you get in pushback, it's tough. I think that's part of it, the comfort level. But as a quarterback or as a team, that cannot be the distraction that allows you to be taken out of what you do. But it can be, and it can affect the play calling on the sideline. It can affect the quarterback's rhythm. It can affect all of it. But I also think it's tape. We'd been naive to think that they could continue 40-plus a game. We talked about it last week. You can't continue that level of play. And let's face facts. They weren't playing, a team that they can throw 40 on a regular basis. The Philadelphia Eagles are pretty good, and they had let themselves down a week before. They wanted to get back into it, and they did a lot well. They threw the ball well. They ran it well. They had big plays all over the place, and Barkley got into it, Goddard got into it, and you didn't match the big plays on your side of the ball, which they've been able to get. In the opening against Dallas, how they came out and were hitting big play after big play early in the game. Even though they didn't get blown out, it just was not by any stretch of the imagination. They hung in there, and they just couldn't win the ugly game and close it out and finish it. So, but too many big plays on the defensive side for the Saints, and not enough big plays offensively. So when they get tape on you, then the adjustments come, and injuries seem to find teams. They just do, and unfortunately, when it's at that position with a guy you trust, it's very hard to replace him and then execute your offense the way you want to, and then playing in the backfield.
Sean Salisbury is our guest. I don't know how much stock you put into Pro Football Focus, but Derek Carr was. This will put some context on the Saints' day. He was the second highest graded player offensively at a 67.5. Chris Olave.
There's your answer.
Chris Olave was 90.3. Then Carr was a 67.5. Forgive me, but still, that's context on the day they had. What did you see, if you got to watch much of the Saints or highlights of it? What did you see from Derek Carr on Sunday?
I disrupted a little. He just looked like, he threw. I'm trying to think. Was it a second down throw that he threw the pick?
Yeah.
It was the second down throw. Though, Matty, we've talked about this, and you know how I feel. I think he's a really good player, but in games like that, that's the one you got that want it back. It's like a referee's apology. I'm not dogging Derek on this at all, but it's like a referee's apology and the NFL's apology after they blow a call that cost you a game, and they give you the I'm sorry, but you don't get the win back.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's not just one play. When you do that, say I'd like to have it back and be more judicious with the football. Those are the ones that you have to be more judicious with the football, because the after effect doesn't get it done. I didn't think they were as aggressive with the football, and it just didn't seem from the get-go that the rhythm of what we saw the last 2 weeks, and now the opponent has something to do with that. So I thought, and it's not one of those you take a look back and say, oh my gosh, when are the Boo Birds coming out? They did not get sustained drives going. And when you're playing against a team like that, you're going to look, it's going to look ugly at times. And you're going to get embarrassed. You just are. And it doesn't matter who you play. At some point in time, most of the time, a series or two, you may get embarrassed. You may go 3 and out. You may throw a pick. They just couldn't overcome that. And, he wants it back. And you just, in games like that against teams that will beat you, and that they were everything they did, from Barkley to Goddard to Hurts throwing the football for the most part and running it. I mean, when you look at the balance, what they hung almost 500 yards on them, It's tough to overcome. It really is. And then you get to the mode where when one thing goes wrong, what do? Is you press a little harder to try and make big plays. They just couldn't manufacture long drives and big plays throughout the game. And you ran into a Philadelphia team that when they're doing their thing offensively, they're awfully multiple. And they've got some dogs on that team, literally from Georgia, and dogs like we talk about in football. So I just think they ran into a really good team that's got Super Bowl aspirations. They were going to come down to earth, but I didn't see anything that led me to believe the injury, but led me to believe that this team's going to go away and wilt after this. Sometimes, and I don't believe in moral victories. I never have. But sometimes when you do a few things that cost you a game, and you take their defense had a beat down. The next week usually turns out to be pretty well, and you don't let it fester. So panic, no. Disappointed because they still had opportunities after all that. Hey, the more rushing attempts, they just couldn't get the thing going that we saw them the first 2 weeks, where everybody was on deck, everybody was making a play, the quarterback was in rhythm, and they jumped out in front so far and hammered both teams after fast starts in their first 2 games. Sunday's how football looks a lot of times, not the other way where you're hanging 40 and you're coasting because you got a 3-touchdown lead over 2 teams to start the game. But I mean, it's like they spotted them touchdowns. And Philadelphia's physical, and I thought that was part of it. And now we see what Carr does next week. Overcoming a ball you'd like to have back and not being able to generate the offense that you're used to generating at least the first 2 weeks of the season.
Saints at Falcons on Sunday. Sean Salisbury will grab a quick break, come back. I do want his thoughts on Jaden versus Joe. We got to see the 2 LSU Heisman winners on display on Monday Night Football. We'll get to that. And I want Sean's take on what he's seen from Garrett Nussmeier so far through the first month of the season. Picture of efficiency, lack of a running game for LSU. They're asking him to do an awful lot. We'll get Sean's take on that when we return. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. Love telling you every time we have these 5-star Google reviews, and there's more than double the amount of 5-star Google reviews for River City's 1 Hour Air. They're their next closest competitor because they've been doing it at such a high level for 40 years. This one came in from Gerard Bell. Said, Cody is an excellent technician, very knowledgeable. Most of all, he's honest. He fixed what the other guy couldn't. I will only be requesting him from now on. Another 5-star Google review for River City's 1 Hour Air. Part of that is because at River City's 1 Hour Air, they pride themselves on continuing education for all of their technicians. So when there are updated practices, latest practices, or new technology in the HVAC industry, they make sure that their technicians are up to date with it at River City's 1 Hour Air. They value their people. That's why they have very little turnover as well. Listen, if you need or have issues with your HVAC, you need River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. 752-0001.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded. Because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
After Further Review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Rolling along here, 5 o'clock hour. Glad you're with us. Always appreciate our friends over at Sunshine. By the way, they did a video shoot this weekend with West and Witt Weeks. Let's just say there are some very famous Louisiana gator hunters in the video, and that will drop Florida week. Our friends over at Sunshine have done some really creative stuff with the NIL space. You'll catch that when the Tigers and the Gators play in November. Sean Salisbury joins us every Tuesday here on AFR. We always love the insight. Talked a little bit about the Saints there in the first segment, what it means losing Erik McCoy. Can they rebound offensively? Sean, the opposite of what we saw with the Saints and the Eagles is what we saw on Monday Night Football, Jaden versus Joe. Offensive fireworks, the picture of quarterback almost perfection. What were your observations? Like, what grabbed you when you watched either guy, Jaden, Joe, on Monday Night Football?
Well, LSU got some. They've trained some pretty damn good quarterbacks. Okay, they've. It seems like every great wide receiver. Let's just look to LSU, and now you look at what Joe's doing in the league. Even though they're 0-3, I would not count them out yet. I really wouldn't. And he's spectacular. We know he is. And then, I mean, that's the obvious part, and getting his team and played great. And, he's a notorious slow starter, and that's obviously permeated through Cincinnati because it's the same with them every week. But then they go on a roll and win 8 in a row. I thought he showed up quite nicely in this game against his former LSU, well, not teammate, but alumni guy. I thought Jaden Daniels was spectacular. You know what impresses me? That first of all, we know who Joe is and where he's headed and the things he's going to do. Jaden Daniels has every great quality you like in a quarterback. And to watch his precision, that wasn't one of those, hey, rookie in his, getting another start, and he's in the infancy of his career. Sometimes you're playing a bad team and you just hit the ground running and go. It's how he got to the numbers and what he did. Impressive, man. And I'll tell you one thing I love about him. From the time he left Arizona State and when he was at Arizona State to LSU, I judge it's not just on the 1 year thing or it's one player, one series, one game. Every year he's gotten better.
Yeah.
He's become a better player. He's not regressed at any point in time. He's never quit working. And I know that's easy because, work hard. Well, it's easy to say, but it's the off seasons to put the time in, not only physically, but mentally, of keeping up and studying. He looked like a guy that can stand up in a room and walk the whole offense and Cliff and everybody through how to run an offense. And that's not I saw that with Stroud. And now listen, at the end of this year, I promise you, Jaden Stroud's already said it. He said it in an interview last week going into this game against Minnesota. Listen, you don't really know what you don't know, basically, and I'm paraphrasing him, but like sometimes you're just reacting as a football player, and you really don't know as a rookie what's going on. I assure you, when he comes back year 2, he's going to look at tape and after a few games say, man, this is completely different, and yet he's still thriving now. These guys, it's not supposed to look that easy, and it's mechanics. It's his improvement on the deep ball, as we talked about at LSU last year, and it continues to carry over. And you're either accurate or you're not. He's accurate with the football. We know about his feet and his legs. That's a no-brainer. But what my favorite thing, resilient, and all those things that go with leadership and grasping what they're trying to teach. It's like he and Cliff been talking about this for years. Same page, and I like it. My favorite thing about him is to get through progressions with all that great athleticism. He's still hanging in there as if he's a 5 or 6 year guy, that he understands what the next read is on the progression. That's not normal for a rookie. I'm just telling you, some guys in their second and third year. Look what Darnold said. Darnold's 3-0. He said he didn't even know how to study right until he got to Brock Purdy. Watch him see. It's not just study, and we all sit in front of a computer and watch tape. It's what are you looking for specifically? I feel like Jayden Daniels knows exactly what he's looking for, and maybe that's Brian. A big part of Brian Kelly. It's how he was raised, the different coaches he's been on, but he gets it. And watching him play, he was not in a mismatch. He was not over his head at any point in time. And he's not going to have those games on a regular basis, but what I'll tell you it builds confidence with the dudes around him. They already know who their guy is.
Yeah.
And we're not even a month into the season. I am so impressed with him. When anybody asks me, they people like, well, it was 1 year as a Heisman. When it's not in the Louisiana area going, I said, just watch the way he goes about his business. And when you have a strength like he has with his feet, there's always that lean on the crutch. I'm going to bail out early. He doesn't bail out early. There are second and third guys catching balls. The ball's distributed around. He's accurate. He's got all the arm you need, and he does not let a bad play, which he didn't make many in that game, but he hasn't let that affect him. Kind of like the guy who's at LSU now. Whatever's in the water down there at LSU, these guys know how to get hit in the mouth and overcome it, and they seem to progress and get better all the time. LSU and Nussmeier's doing the same thing. But Jayden Daniels he's ahead of the other two in every phase of his game. Their other two, and Caleb and Nix, are going to be good. Nix played pretty well. Caleb threw for almost 350, 370. But the precision, the dynamic precision of Jayden Daniels, it's impressive to watch, man. And Cincinnati's not exactly a hack team. They're about as good as 0-3 team as you're going to see in the league anywhere, any season.
Well, they're a breath away from being 3-0. It's incredible.
Damn right they are. Yes.
So let me ask you. So Sean, I was looking this up earlier today. There are 4 teams since 1990, for those that missed it earlier, only 4 that have started 0-3 and made the playoffs. But there's one sports book I saw that gives the Bengals a 44% chance of making the playoffs, which obviously speaks to how good that team is or can be. What do you think, man? Are they buried, or Joe and them buried at 0-3?
No. Now, I'm big on – you'll get people now that say, well, you got to win in December. Well, if you go 0-4 in September, you're in a chase mode. They're 0-3 now. Now it almost becomes for them, and I like Joe in these situations, 0-3, we know what we got to do. He stays calm. And then, like I said, then they start to go on a run. It's becoming single elimination for them. Now, while it may not be, that's the mindset you have to have. Now, you also got to be smart enough to know that if you lose another game, you're not cashing in the next 13. But, they can, because they've got players. And I'm going to tell you what, Baltimore didn't close right on Sunday. They looked good for 3 quarters, but they've been kicking it around the first 2. They started out on 2. There's no way on God's green earth Pittsburgh continues what they're doing. Now, I love Mike Tomlin, but I can't see them rolling off and being a 12-13 win team. They'll always hit you on defense, but Fields, he had a great performance this weekend, but he's going to come down to earth. We know offensively, I think, who they are, and Cleveland's overrated. They're proving that they are overrated with the way they're playing. So, and Watson's not the same cat. He's up and down like the Dow Jones. So why not them? And let's see, the 3 games, let's say you get the 9 wins. So that's 9 and 3 would be 12. You play 17 of them. If they win 9 of their next 13 games, which they're capable of doing, they're going to be staring right at it because look around the league, 49ers, they've lost 2.
Yeah.
The Rams won a game or they'd have been 0-3. We know about Baltimore. Cleveland's down. Texans get beat by Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota's going undefeated. I'm just jumping around the league. I mean, it's weird. The league is weird. Quarterback plays down, but some of these rookies are proving they belong. And, yeah, I do think they can. And, hell, they were a Super Bowl pick for me. I'm not quitting on them. And I like the quarterback, and I like him under pressure. So I'm going to stay with this.
Sean Salisbury, hey, before you go, you alluded to it a bit ago with the job Garrett Nussmeier is doing at LSU. Let me get one question in. He threw for 350 this week against UCLA. It's interesting because Brian Kelly said it this week, Sean, that he thought by now teams would stop crowding the box and start playing more coverage. But as long as teams keep putting 8 or 9 in the box, they're going to keep slinging it. Garrett threw it 44 times this last weekend against UCLA. What do you think of the performance for Garrett and then just offensively for LSU right now as they have become really, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but teams are giving them the pass, so they just keep slinging it.
Yeah, and you know what? There's really, now we always hear, and we do, Matt, oh, you got to be balanced and the rest of it. But sometimes balance is a square peg in a round hole. If they are low, because and LSU does got to be more physical at the point of attack and run the ball better. We know that if they want to get where they want to go, if they're going to get where they want to go, should I say. But Brian's right. To me, I'd say, well, if you guys are going to do this and you're going to keep doing this, and I got a quarterback who's capable of beating you, I'm not going to run uphill. I'm not going to swim upstream. I'm just not doing it. It's dumb. Oh, just to mix in a run, they get 7, 8, 9 guys, whatever it is down, depending on your formation, and you run it. Now you're second and 9.5. Okay, well, let's get a 6-yard completion for a first down. I have zero issue with it because it becomes, if that's your strength and they're going to keep you in your strength, fine. But here's the other part of that. If, in fact, and they're going to have to at some point, defenses say, all right, let's see how they run the ball if we play 2 high safeties or if we play a little softer. See, I think he's patient enough to beat you that way, too. He's shown me something this year. First off, the guts to stick around. And I'll say it every week because I love it in this transfer portal era. Yeah. But they've had a chance in a couple games, Matty, to fold. I mean, it was hot. I told you UCLA, they looked better in the first half, but UCLA didn't run it very well. They may surprise a few, but they got a long way to go. And it's hot in the stadium. You go on, you're tied, and then they go pitch a shutout in the second half. You played out of their mind. They had a chance. Oh, this is one of those games we got built-in excuses. Against USC, opportunity, the other quarterback's playing really, really well, and you got to hang in there. You turn the ball over, boom, you jump right back at it, make a play. They had a bunch of mistakes, and that's the time when you can wilt. I'm just telling you, it's easy to. Coach's son, and it does matter. Knows football. Brian Kelly, I guarantee, loves his toughness and resilience. I just love the fact that you're going to give it to me, put the ball in his hand, you're not afraid to. It tells me something about him, and he's accurate with the football. The things you have to sustain you. You don't have to be a great runner to win games. You don't have to be 6'5" to win games. You can be it at 5'10". You can be somewhere in between. The things you do have to have, you got to have guys that buy in, your teammates. You must be accurate, and you must be tough. And when I say tough, there's 3 categories. You better be physically tough, emotionally tough to deal with. You're getting booed, and I'm sure the LSU fans were getting frustrated in that heat after that first half. And you got to be mentally tough to be able to study and see what you're studying. And at 10 o'clock on a Thursday, do it. That's who he is. And I also think he takes great pride in knowing what came before him and being his pop's son. I mean, a football family. I love him. And you know what? I didn't realize he had this much passing moxie. I knew he could throw it, and we've talked about it for a couple years. But I didn't realize he could carry a team on their back offensively, and he's proven it, and he proved it again this past week in a game that would have been easy to go eke one out by a field goal and kind of sluggish your way through it, and tape looked, sucked when you watched it. That second half was something to, especially when Perkins gets hurt, and you got to go out there. And if they're going to keep doing it, he is proving each week, which could be a bad thing for LSU because eventually they're going to say, that guy's not beating us. But I think he has the ability to beat you in man or zone. And I love the fact that he keeps getting up after a hit, not just literally, figuratively as well. They're on to something with him. He can play.
Man, we'll get a really good indication of what LSU will be here in a few weeks when Ole Miss is
you ain't lying.
In Tiger
You
Stadium.
Ain't lying, brother. They're really good.
Love to see a layup this week against South Alabama before an open day.
You will. You will.
We need a stress-free Saturday, Sean.
Yes, you do. You're going to get one because we're all geared up. We can't wait. None of us can wait for that LSU game. Let's just hope LSU thinking South Alabama, not not LSU, but Ole Miss game, and they're thinking that we're headed for a fun one then, man. I can't wait.
Sean Salisbury, you're the best, man. Thanks as always for the time.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Y'all get him on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. Sean Salisbury, the one and only, good enough to join us every Tuesday here. We're brought to you by First South Farm Credit. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call needs to be to First South Farm Credit. Your first option is First South Farm Credit. Since 1916, they've been first in agriculture. Farmers know about First South Farm Credit, but they can finance that hunting property in Mississippi, the 20 acres in St. Francisville, the 200 acres in Mississippi if you want that hunting property. One of the great things also about First South Farm Credit, Tim was telling me the story. Because they're they're member-owned, they don't sell your loan. So you finance with First South Farm Credit, you are dealing with First South Farm Credit for the life of your loan. And they offer note modification, effectively a refi, when rates come down. And they'll explain this to everybody. And Tim was telling me the story. They told one borrower that, hey, look, we'll call you. If we see rates go down, we'll call you. We'll modify your loan. And the guy called BS. Because you're not going to do that. And sure enough, a couple of years later, rates went down. They called the guy, said, I can't believe you actually did this. But they do. That's the type of personal relationship that they have at First South Farm Credit. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. You can start at the website, firstsouthland.com. That's firstsouthland.com. Okay, y'all, it's after further review. I'm glad you're hanging out with us here. Otter Locks, they're live up at louisianasports.net. You want to get them, make sure you check Otter. Jimmy will be here in 10 minutes, but make sure you check out louisianasports.net if you want Otter's picks before he gives them here. You want them earlier, maybe line movements, you get it at louisianasports.net, louisianasports.net. Okay, quick break. We'll continue in Otter Locks in about 10 minutes. It's AFR.
AFR.
Hey, make sure you get by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Congrats to my friends at Rouse's. Their newest location is open in Picayune, Mississippi. More than 70 locations from Lake Charles to Orange Beach, points in between. You need to do your shopping. You need Rouse's. As a matter of fact, I'm out of coffee. I did not have coffee this morning in the house, and that is a devastating reality when you wake up and realize there's no more coffee in the house. So I got to get by Rouse's after the show tonight, go pick up some coffee. Rouse's.com is the website. You want to see all their specials that they have. You want to get their weekly ad to see where their discounts are, where their specials are. You could do it at Rouse's.com. Download the Rouse's app as well. That's so convenient. Remember, they have the curbside pickup option. Select your items on the app. Your personal shopper will go pick them out for you. You pull up into one of the designated spaces. They bring it right out to the vehicle. Saves you time. It's convenient. It's Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. For 100 years, Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Rouse's, this feels like home.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
She climbs on up, open up a throttle and stir a little dust. Just look at her face, she ain't a fooling me. She thinks my tractor's sexy.
All right, glad you're rolling along with us here. We get the Auto Life. A little bit of a quick segment here. We got to Sean a little bit late. Had trouble connecting. Saints, a lot of people are asking. We've talked so much today about Erik McCoy. We'll have a much better sense on Wednesday when the first injury report comes up. But a lot of people are asking about Taysom Hill. And an interesting tidbit, the Saints have lost 5 of their last 6 games when they have not had Taysom Hill. I don't know if we could definitively say that, yes, if Taysom had played against the Eagles, they would have won. I think it is fair to say in some of those short yardage situations, the fourth down that you went for it in the single wing where you motioned out Derek Carr, they did the direct snap to Alvin Kamara. What if that's Taysom? Does he fight and get a yard? Maybe. I don't know. Got a better chance at it when a linebacker meets you in the hole of Taysom Hill taking on a linebacker than Alvin Kamara. That's not a knock on Kamara. That's just the nature of it. I think we'll get a better idea when the Saints are back at practice. Tuesday is a day off in the NFL, so Saints will be back at practice on Wednesday. We'll see what the injury report looks like. Taysom, the report from Jay Glazer on Sunday was a bruised lung, which sounds absolutely horrid, but he's a tough guy. See if they can get him back out there. We talked about it earlier in the show. It is a really it's imperative the Saints go get this win this weekend at Atlanta. If you lose this game, that's back-to-back losses, then you're going to Kansas City for Monday Night Football. If you drop that one, that's 3 straight losses. You could find yourself into a bit of a spiral. You'd be coming home at that point with back-to-back games against Tampa and then the Thursday night short week game against Denver. And if you lose 3 in a row to fall to 2 and 3, it's not must-win 6 games into the season, but considering that is a division game against Tampa, if you were to lose this weekend against Atlanta, that would be 2 division losses. You would have lost 4 straight. You're 2 and 4. Now you're 2 games below 500 and down in the division, having lost head-to-head to both Atlanta and Tampa. You could just see how and why this one is so important to go get this weekend against the Falcons on the road. Raheem Morris met with reporters as well, and he was asked about having played the Eagles, because the Falcons, of course, beat the Eagles last week, and then of course this week lost on the road, back-to-back primetime games, then lost this week on the road in Kansas City on Sunday Night Football. But he was asked about the common opponent against the Eagles, and asked if that helped. I just pulled a Brian Kelly family. Let the head be ahead of the mouth. Common opponent, Eagles. Here's Raheem Morris. Let him talk.
It's always good when you have some common opponents and some commonalities that you can go put up there just for your viewing purposes, for your cut-ups and all those type of things. But, you got to go get your preparation done. You got to go put it into work. You got to go look at it. You got to go do all the stuff that you got to have. It's definitely beneficial, especially the more games you get, the longer we get into the season, the more the chess match becomes the chess match. So we're fired up to just embrace that challenge.
I wonder if they're fired up about what happened last year. You remember what happened in Week 18, don't you? Oh, that's when our guy, Jameis, called his own play. What a guy, huh?
It was the best moment of the season last year for the New Orleans Saints.
Love that guy. You know what else I love? Incidentally, I just thought of this.
What else do you love?
I love the fact that the weird Jameis one-of-one guy is now a Cleveland Browns problem and not a Saints problem anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, and we had that guy on the show because initially I just thought it was interesting. He had written a book about Jameis, and so, it was discovery when the Saints signed him. It just learn what you can. And then it became incessant. And it's like, bro, you're just weird now. And now he's weird going after the Browns for why they're not playing Jameis over Deshaun Watson. Now, maybe they should because Deshaun Watson is awful. I mean, like, really awful. I mean, the Saints dodged a major bullet with that one. Because remember, everybody thought he was going to go to Atlanta. But the Saints threw their hat in the ring. Like, they were trying to get Watson here. Boy, did they dodge one there. I mean, as bad as Derek Carr is, that's a better option than guaranteeing Deshaun Watson $230 million.
Mm-hmm.
Because Cleveland stuck with him for 2 more years after this one. He can't play. At least not with that coach.
One of the worst contracts.
It is the worst contract in NFL.
Okay, the worst? Okay.
Name one worse.
I mean, I off the top of my head, I can't.
You guarantee $230 million to a guy that can't play.
That's pretty horrible, yeah.
Okay, here was Raheem Morris on the callback for the Jameis calling his own play last year.
I don't go with motivation that I wasn't a part of.
Oh.
If you need any more motivation than playing against a division rival for the South, that you got the pen in your hand to be able to write your own story, and you probably in the wrong building anyway. So, there's no secret about the Saints, the Bucks, and Carolina, particularly this week. The team that you focus on, it better be the Saints. And you got to find a way to go out there and beat a really competitive, well-coached team.
He's showing it.
I don't believe him.
I don't believe him either. You know what that is? That's a 1,000-pound bag of dung is what that is. You know how I know it's 1,000 pounds? He used a scale from Michele. How about that transition?
That's good.
You like that? Our nation's largest distributor of scales. You need to weigh 1,000 pounds of dung. The best thing to do is get a scale from Michele. Michele.com. A list of all their services. ISO 17025 accreditation. Track system, track records, assets, calibrations, TRAC. That's an acronym use. I don't know if they taught you that at St. Michael's. TRAC.
They did. Yeah.
I don't think they did.
Yeah, they did.
Maybe they tried to and you didn't remember it.
No.
No. Probably just nose through your trash. Yeah. That's a Christmas Vacation reference. Cousin Eddie. Michele Weighing and Measurement, they're the best. More than 75 years. Michele.com. Michele.com. You weigh or measure something, they sell, service, and rent the products used to weigh and measure. Check them out, Michele Weighing and Measurement, Michele.com. Okay, let me knock out our final break of the show, y'all. Otter will be here for Otter Locks. Should we have time, we'll get to what we learned. Probably not, though, because Otter usually comes and just eats. So much so that we had to institute a drop where we literally tell him there's 1 minute remaining.
1 minute remaining.
So he doesn't. And there are people that tell me all the time, they're like, I laugh every day when I hear the 1 minute remaining drop. just to let you know, hey, man, this is it. All right, let's go. Otter Locks to wrap up the show next.
After further review.
Brought to you by the Watermark Hotel, the Renaissance Hotel, Watermark Downtown. The Watermark voted by you the best hotel and the best at 225. It is a gorgeous hotel if you've never been to the Watermark. Make plans to get down there. And you might say to yourself, Matt, I live in Baton Rouge. Why would I go to a hotel in Baton Rouge? So many reasons. First, downtown is beautiful, and the Watermark right there on 3rd Street. When you go into the lobby bar, there are few better settings to people watch in Baton Rouge. Right there, street level, you can watch the pedestrian traffic while you enjoy a cocktail, a glass of wine. Maybe you want to dine at the Gregory, which is right there in the lobby of the Watermark. They have a charcoal oven in the lobby. So as you walk into the lobby of the Watermark, all these amazing smells are just wafting through the lobby. There's a beautiful shot right there. You can experience all the great culture, history, and ambiance of that building. It's the Watermark Hotel in downtown Baton Rouge. Check it out today, the Watermark Hotel.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we
work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales service and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, down the stretch we come. Final segment here on a Tuesday edition of AFR. We are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana, sunequip.com. You want a deer? You're going to Sunshine. Bunkie and below, they're just the best. They'll treat you great. Yep. You're a farmer, they got all your farm equipment, but also those zero-turn mowers, those John Deere Gators. Nothing runs like a deer. Nobody treats you better than Sunshine. Sunequip.com. All right, Otterlocks.
Otterlocks.
All right, time to win some money.
Yeah. Presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
All right, Otter, how are you?
Oh, not great. Took it on the chin last night.
Ooh, that Jacksonville pick, man. My goodness. The Sharks were on the wrong side with Jacksonville.
Oh, man. Wow, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, opening drive, touchdown, 3-and-out, touchdown, 3-and-out, touchdown.
Yeah, it was
pretty
over.
rough.
That was over pretty quickly. It allowed me to focus entirely on Jaden versus Joe, which I probably would have done anyway. But, just basically tore up that ticket pretty quickly and said, you know what, we'll try again tomorrow.
Yeah, Josh Allen now really short price to be MVP on the future market. And Jaden Daniels has surpassed Malik Neighbors as first choice for offensive Rookie of the Year. So giving an update on some of our futures, too, we hit the Indiana Fever. They went under. Whether you had 20.5 or 21.5. 21.5 was in before the last game, but the last game they lost by 1 point to the Mystics, and so it fell right on 20 and 20. We hit that. Also,
I actually did play that when you gave us all the Caitlin Clark fade stuff at the beginning.
Yeah,
I had no idea what the bet was. I'll need to go dig in my DraftKings app to see it, but I actually did play. I did play that, but I forgot about it.
Yeah. Why not? And I think you had somebody asked if they would bet Skeens Rookie of the Year last week at plus 250. Well, after his Sunday outing of 5 innings, 2 hits, 9 Ks, no walks, he is now minus $1.60 to be the Rookie of the Year.
Okay,
So
I actually do have a ticket on. I have it. What is it right now?
Oh, he's minus about 60.
Okay.
You know, he was plus 250 about a week and a half ago.
Well, maybe I should have done it a week ago. There was a point where he had a commanding lead. He had a bad game, and they went to plus money. So I bet him at plus 120.
No, actually, he didn't have a bad game. What it was the market was convinced when the Pirates went on their skid that they would shut him down. So that's when they just were pounding it on Merrill. He had one non-quality start, 4 runs in 6 innings at Chavez Ravine against the Dodgers, and 2 runs were on a 2-out, 2-run bleeder. To make it 4 instead of 2. He has been unbelievable all year.
Yeah.
It was just that, now Merrill is going through little streaks and, in peaks and valleys. He's been very, very good. They're both great candidates. But it was all about, now we're in the last week of the season. They haven't shut him down yet. So now that confidence that they're going to shut him down, it's not happening. And so they're reversing the trend.
I'm looking at it right here. It was August. I placed the bet August 22nd. So he pitched that day. It was a Thursday.
The Dodgers game was way before that.
That was the beginning of August. I see it. It was I don't know why this happened that way, but they won 7-0 that day. Anyway, that's when I made the bet. So whatever. He was at plus 120. So I got plus money on it. So
yeah, good.
All right. Anyway, what we got tonight?
3 games tonight in Major League Baseball. We put them on the website. Cubs are down 1-0 right now, so you're getting a better price on them in game if you waited.
So we're money line, so plus 154.
Yep.
All right, $1.54 on the Cubbies. Let's go. All right.
Phillies clinched the division last night, so sometimes it's a little bit of a letdown. Although they're going with their main lineup tonight. Yankees in Baltimore.
1
this
minute
is shaping
remaining.
up to be a great divisional chase. But Baltimore's only won 2 series since the 4th of July. They just are not the team that they were last year. Yankees put them out of their misery. Got a favorable matchup as well. Taking the Yankees money line there.
That's $1.75.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the Mets. Even pitching matchup here. Mets plus money. Mets are just better. They've been really, really good. And they got a lead. Braves got some ground to make up. They're 1.5 behind Arizona, 2 games behind the Mets for that last wild card spot.
Cubs, Yankees, Mets. Your 3 plays for the Otter all on the money line tonight. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
Breaking out of our cocoon, going to Gonzales. Snows, seafood and steak.
Love it. Thanks, Otter. Have a great one. Good luck.
All right, good luck.
All right, we'll see you. That's Jimmy. All right, it's going to do it for us here. You miss anything, AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf. Muse, Paulie, thanks. Y'all have a great night. See you tomorrow at 3.
After further review.
Brought to you by Optimize, GeneratorPeople.com, GeneratorPeople.com. If you are thinking about installing a generator, maybe Francine shook you into that reality, or the threat of Helen, whatever the storm is that's coming right now, whatever it's called anyway, whatever the reason. If you're thinking about a Generac automatic home standby generator, you want to call the Generator People. That's Optimize. Go to GeneratorPeople.com, GeneratorPeople.com. Start there. They got 4 physical locations. Lake Charles to Slidell, anywhere in between on the 10-12 corridor, they'll serve you. It doesn't matter if you're in Lake Charles, if you're in Baton Rouge, if you're in New Orleans, if you're in Addis, they'll come to you wherever you may be. Lafayette, you're in Iowa, they'll come to you. GeneratorPeople.com. Listen, when it comes to Optimize, because they do one thing, sell, service, and install Generac automatic home standby generators. They can give you the best service, the best people, and, of course, the best price as well. Go to GeneratorPeople.com. Online, GeneratorPeople.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today. Or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million-mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales service and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there.